That
Oh
stuff.
yes, Hunger.
Wait, was it Team Petra or Team... What were the teams in Hunger Games?
All
Katniss
I
and...
know is that it was Katniss and then the P one, which then turned into Team Penis.
Wasn't it? It wasn't Petra,
Peeta.
though. It was...
PETA.
PETA, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like...
Mhm.
Oh,
Of course.
man.
Katniss and PETA is Team Penis.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Really does.
This is how logic works.
Absolutely.
Don't question. Pins is like, no.
The mics are hot. Is that what's happening? You turned on mics without...
Yep.
Oh no.
Listen, this is the shenanigans they need to be prepared for. Thanks, Pins, for subscribing for 35 months to this nonsense.
No shit.
Oh man. All right, let's have a calm game of SWAT to get things going.
Calm game. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm running my
There's
dailies.
There's no such thing as a calm game of SWAT.
There's always a calm game of SWAT.
What is a SWAT game?
Oh, Pins just refilled his
Halo.
health bar. Holy shit, Pins.
Holy wow. Jesus, Pins.
Were you getting a little nervous there? With the health bar a little bit low? Anna she was telling me, she's like, oh yeah, I need to use the Twitch Prime sub thing. And I was like, man, yeah, if you get in there soon, you might even be able to unseat Pins. She's like, no, I won't be able to because I only have, like, I think she's got like the whatever free bits the 300 bits or so. I was like, yeah, but I think Pins is Pins is pretty low. And she's like, really? I'm like, oh no. It's like you can unseat him for all of like until he gets back on.
10 minutes. That's about as long
Pins
as
uses
that would last.
recover.
So what is like
SWAT?
You know the first person shooter. Yeah, what is SWAT
What does
in
that
respect
mean?
to this game?
Halo 5. It's just a
Um.
Halo 5 game variant. It's where you run around and you give people big hugs with battle rifles.
It's one shots. It's if you land a headshot at one shot kills them, so you don't have to worry about any of their shields. So it's a lot faster paced in Halo than a lot of the other game types.
See, and I just played some Destiny because I thought I was gonna like get in on the lingo, and no, you gotta go and switch things on me.
He did that.
Always.
Not me.
Always.
Mm.
He drags
I don't
me
want
into
you,
Halo.
I don't want to make you comfortable or anything. That would just be ridiculous.
Why would you do that?
Why would I do that? I would not do that.
I'm aware. Hence our conversation we had the other day in the group chat for Google Hangouts that you were like, redacted statement.
Redacted statement. Redacted. Anna's like, I hate. What are you all doing? Like, you like us. This is true. Gun.
It always
punch.
makes me wonder what she thinks of our shenanigans half the time in
I
there.
just usually don't think about it.
Because we're like 12-year-olds.
Yeah, I don't think about it. Halo custom games. What? Oh God.
Just send her some spider gifts. She really enjoys that.
She
God.
hates you so much for this. The best ones are the ones that the URL has no warning. The banana
Those are the
spider is the
best.
one that the banana spider was the one that
Oh,
I think
God.
that got her like
Why?
really
Why
bad.
would you do that?
Every now and like every couple months, I'll like send her like a whole bunch of links to like fun shit, and then like I'll sneak in a spider one.
That is
so
evil.
mean.
Mhm.
It's gotten to the point where I have to click on everything before.
She knows that it's coming. Oh, God. Poor Anna.
She's used to it. hence the reason I have to be the poison pill tester. She's like, click on this. What is it? I don't know. Josh, send it to me. Okay. Is it safe? Yeah. Of course, then I'm always tempted to be like, oh yeah, it's perfectly fine. Then I'll get killed.
Then you're the one in trouble.
Yeah, then I get in trouble. It's one of those things where it's like, is it worth it though?
Some days, yes. Most days, probably.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this thing going here. All right, you guys good to
Oh
go?
my goodness.
This turnip exchange website has like a whole
He's so excited for this.
thing.
He's so excited. Oh my goodness.
You just, or if you want another Discord, I can add you to another Discord where we actually have like meteor shower events and
I don't
like
know. That sounds really intense.
you go around watering
This is like a
flowers.
whole. This is like a web page. Oh, I do need people to water my flowers.
That's
just
a
be like,
Yeah, you do.
yeah. You take turns watering because if you have people water your flowers, you have more chances of breeding goods and like rare flowers. So
They like grow better if other people water your flowers.
That's really weird.
I'm just. So, anyways, you want to do a podcast?
I'm just thinking
Yeah, what are
about
we talking
how.
about?
Did you guys ever play Neopets?
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
no, actually, no. I did Gaia Online. It's
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm bringing it back to that.
Man. Yeah, Neopets sounds like a predecessor of Animal Crossing at this point.
I wonder
Yeah.
if Neopets is still up there somewhere.
It was
So-
about 6 months ago when I checked.
I'm checking now.
Check on your Neopets.
I didn't have Neopets. I'm just checking the website to see if it exists.
I did.
You can log in. You can do things.
That's when I did the stock
to
market thing. Like I learned how to play stock
bury
market.
the dead
Yeah.
Neopets that you haven't touched in like 5 years.
That's my Gaia Online account. Oh, who knows what happened.
Website does not look familiar at all.
Then, like, whenever my younger sibling was growing up, they had Club Penguin or something.
Oh God. Yeah, I know that one.
What was that?
It's basically, it's like a
it
little
was-
social online thing. Yeah.
It was basically
They're
a
all
safer
penguins.
work version of the Palace.
I don't know what that is.
That was a really old, very, very dangerous. It
What
was
kind
like
of disgusting things were you doing, Jay?
a lot of disgusting things. Listen, you don't know me.
Way, of course. I mean,
it
girls
was
were just as bad. Anyway.
God, man, the Palace was that was like middle school, middle school. Yeah, I think it was like later middle school. It was one of those blue. I seen things. I seen things. It was like a chat room, but it was one of the first it wasn't really like multiplayer. It was like it wasn't an MMORPG, but it was like something that like you could you had an avatar that could walk around, and you could customize the avatar and stuff like that. It went downhill really fast because internet, and they didn't have any like restrictions on there, so it just was like, this is gonna be bad. Oh, yep, confirmed. Club Penguin was basically like that, but it was much more restrictive. Like it was designed from the ground up to be for younger kids, and so which didn't protect it because ultimately the same thing happened. They just got a lot more inventive about the way they did it, which is why I think, if I remember right, that's one of the reasons Club Penguin got shut down for a while.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think it's
what
still
was that?
gone. I think it's gone now, but
My sibling was on it when they were younger, and I'm like, I looked over their shoulder and I saw it, and I was like, I love penguins, and they're like, yeah, it's a whole thing about penguins. I'm like, ah. I was like, wait, I'm too old for this. Never mind. I just appreciate that you have it. Because they're 7.5 years younger than me. Like, yeah.
They didn't know the rules of the internet. Mainly the 34th one. Yep. All right. You guys ready to go? Good to go?
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about?
Dialogue.
Okay.
You're just going to drink in the corner. It's okay.
Yep, that's probably what's gonna happen.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on May 1st, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring NPC dialogue in game worlds, and this particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is Titan Pilot, Green-Eyed Music Lover. I may have picked up Titanfall the other day.
Which one? Titanfall 1 or 2?
2.
Yeah.
I did like half of the introduction thing where you're like
Mhm.
doing the gauntlet. And then Cole's like, let's go play a private match. I was like, okay, I don't know how to run a Titan. I'm just going to make it run around for me. And so played some matches with her today. And
Yeah, Titanfall
didn't
2.
do too bad.
That story is amazing.
I've heard. I mean, we did that.
The AI that they have is just a great story in Titanfall. They knocked it out of the park as far as I am concerned. But last but definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest co-hosts, we have our good friends Inframage and Serena Bezos, Josh and Morgan. How are you guys doing tonight? Morgan, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I've been energetic for some odd reason, so
Nice.
just weird energy going into this,
Perfect.
into this chat.
Perfect. Josh, how's the rum levels over there?
Not too bad. Doing pretty well.
It's not gone?
It's not gone.
Well, I know you guys have both been on the show before, but real quick, Morgan, can you give us just a real quick reminder of where we can find you out on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Serena Bezos. That's SIRENAESOS.
Perfect.
And there you can find my podcast and all that jazz.
Yes, awesome. And we'll definitely get the links in the show notes like we did last time. Josh, what about you? Where can we stalk you on the internet?
Well, don't.
Do it.
But so I do some posts on the Lore Network, and I'm at Inframage on Twitter.
Nice.
Green, do you have any crazy questions?
I just kind of curious about the D&D campaign that we were talking about last time, and if any major developments have happened since the last time we recorded together. Have you guys had another session and everything, or Serena?
For Josh's D&D game that we have, or
Yeah, you kind of talked about it a little bit last time. I was just curious if you guys had any major breakthroughs in your guys' story.
not really. We kind of been on hiatus just because it's hard to play online with our group. And then like we did try to use Tabletop Simulator for a table like battle thing, and got finicky and weird real quick.
Because it's like super fun to flick tiles and things. Like the
So
physics of Tabletop
just
Simulator is
just
super
to clarify, we know exactly
Just
who
saying.
got finicky.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they don't
Josh
like
is the reason
sit
you can't have nice things.
I mean, he was the one destroying the building and like removing the floor tiles, so everything was fine.
Some of it was an accident.
No. Now listen. Oh,
But,
it just reminds
that's
me
pretty
of
much it
Roll20.
with that
Nice.
game. Now that these are starting to supposedly get a little bit better, they start And things we don't know yet. We're still unsure what we're doing, like lockdown stuff. But Texas assumes that we're doing better, therefore they're opening up the economy again. So
You're still getting margaritas mailed or to go, right?
yeah, if you drink
I
them, you
think-
can definitely get them by the gallon.
I
Nice.
experienced that the other day too. Thanks for the tip on that. We went to Torchy's Tacos, and we could get margaritas to go, and we just had these little sippy cups of margaritas. Now, granted, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but they don't have like actual straw holes. It's just the solid lid, so you're not supposed to drink and drive while you're heading home.
If you hit it hard enough, it'll have a straw hole.
Actually,
I'm-
there's some parts of Texas where you'll actually get like to go daiquiri shacks,
Mhm.
and the only way they make them to go is because they'll take a styrofoam cup with a regular lid on it. They'll wrap it in a plastic bag, and then they just hand you the cup.
Dang.
They're like, if you open this, you knew what you were doing.
No kidding.
So like technically it's in a silk container, so you can't have it in this drive-through and then drive it home. But you break that still, that's on you, buddy. Like that's drinking with the open container.
I
That's just
love
when you
I
put,
love
like,
it where like they're like, so can we like when everything goes back to normal, can we keep doing this part?
Mhm.
It's
I mean, I was able to Uber Eats myself a margarita. It was real good.
I
Yes.
remember that.
Gosh.
Oh, shenanigans that happen during quarantine. It's always interesting. But all right, Green. I know Josh plays Destiny, so you can ask him some questions there. I'm sure he could explain a couple things. He's got a really good grasp on what's going on.
Is okay. I thought we were talking about dialogue and stuff like that. Do
Oh
you wanna
yeah,
talk
we can
about
we can talk
Destiny
about that too.
dialogue, or-
I just want to. Yeah,
I just-
we can.
We talk about all the things.
We can talk about all the things. We can talk about Ted and Tom and tomatoes and potatoes.
Team Ted and Team Tom.
Hashtag.
How are the potatoes and tomatoes over under rates going? I know they're not turnips, but
I mean, I think the last time we left Ted and Tom, one of them had married the other's sister.
that was an
There was some-
assassin.
There was
Oh yeah,
yeah.
the sister assassin.
Oh my gosh. Now, I guess the first question I would ask if you were talking about like dialogue, and we're joking about Ted and Tom, but if they were real characters, how much like dialogue would you give them in relation to your players? Would you make them a fairly dynamic type character, or would you really just kind of make it, oh, you only have the information I'm supposed to give you kind of thing, and just the mail carrier?
Well, but the thing is with that, you can only go so far because players will try to push things,
Mhm.
and they will
No.
try to be like, try to get more about them because sometimes, some odd reason, they'll cling on to the most weirdest NPC that you have there. It's like, this is going to be a new friend, and you're like, oh, but why? And you're like, no, I want to know their life story. I'm like, all right, well, hold on, let me just think about it for a hot second and figure out where where they began their journey into the potato farming business.
It began in the drought of 1969.
I was
When the
born in the
potato-
barn.
Oh my god. You just get this bard in the background tooling away on the loot.
Doing like a
Mm-hmm.
oh
my
yeah, like
goodness.
you know,
Always
just
background bards.
Right?
voice.
Mhm.
So you have like a set idea of what you want to tell them, as long as you get your points out to them. If they ask for more things, you kind of just have to go with the flow and like for more information, unless that character specifically is like a shy or don't talk much or they're cut off or
Mhm.
Well,
leave
'cause then
abruptly.
also, like sometimes you prepare an NPC to specifically like deliver all that information to the party, and then the party just decides that they hate that person, and just chaos happens.
And you're like, oh, we don't want to talk to that person, but I'm like, but but why? And like, I don't want to talk to that person. I'm like, oh, okay.
All
Well,
that work into nothing goes to nothing at that point.
pretty much. And so you have to figure out a way, if it's like a plot point or a hook or something, you have to like feed that to another NPC and like get them to
That was actually what my next question was going to be. Do you literally just copy paste whatever important delivery or important courier type thing that the NPC is supposed to give to them? Do you just port it over to somebody new?
I mean, like if it's definitely a direction I want the players to go,
Mm-hmm.
I will try to feed it into someone else. And like if they don't get in from this particular person, I'm like, oh shoot, this is really gonna stall plot if they don't get this hook. So maybe like I'll throw it out, maybe not in the same direct way, but maybe in a different way. Like talking, I think last time we talked about information out to the world. So like these criers,
Mm-hmm.
rumors in the bar that are floating around them. So it may be a more indirect way of them trying to like to lure them in and be like, "Hey, you with the face, I have a quest for you," and they're like, "Nah, we're good."
You
Okay.
random stranger in the bar.
You.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it? Isn't
I
it?
want-
Gamers. Hello, random patron.
Random guy who looks important and is not just this gray face in the background. That silhouetted moment. I guess another question I would ask at that point then is, how do you manage to keep your NPCs from all sounding the same? Like, how do you develop those characters to where they have their own particular voice that is unique, maybe not necessarily super over the top, but memorable? I think we were talking about Matthew Mercer earlier in a stream I was in, and he does a really, really good job of creating these massively impactful characters, even with just a voice that he does. Now, granted, he's voice acting his characters.
I would say he is a voice actor. He is a trained professional when it comes to voice stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
When it's high noon, whatever he wants it to be, it's kind of hard to compete.
Well, I'm thinking of the I can't even think of the character's name. He's just this merchant that became this huge character this last season, and
Pumat,
mm-mm,
or was it what's the season 1 guy, Josh?
That blacksmith guy or the gunpowder guy?
Oh, the suave gold. It starts with a G.
Oh, Gilmore.
More, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that guy. I don't know.
I mean, that's one of them. This one would be a guy who's just kind of a more. He sounds slightly Canadian, and he's just a slower pace kind of character. But what I'm meaning though is when you're writing a tone for a character more so rather than just giving an actual voice, because some characters are going to be very eloquent and some characters may not. They may be very plain. How do you really kind of design your characters that are not just so cartoonish but also have enough variance that they're not so plain?
I think you just gotta think of the idea of where they're coming from. So, like, just give you an example. I'm about to run a game for my podcast, so I'm thinking of voices and tones, or is it like say words or how they talk for this one character, and the character's like a news host from like California in the late 90s. So
Gosh. Okay.
yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like, so with her, she's gonna have to be like loud and like probably sits up with her shoulders back. So it's not just the voice itself, but I also get into a body position. Coming out a lot, and Mercer also does that whenever you do watch him and stuff. But body positioning really helps not only like project your voice and like how you want to be perceived. Also helps you like get into the mindset of the character. With her, for example, it would be like more like I'm sitting up and like I have to project. So, like, good morning, Rosedale, or something. Where you have to get your voice where it's clear and precise. Or I played a character or NPC that was chief of police for this one like superhero game. So it was the dad of one of the players. So I had to be like this gruff guy who's a little short and like, with his words and like, I love you, kid, but you got to go away, like sort of situation.
Josh, do you have any moments like that or characters like that?
I don't know. I think with games that I've run, like I've had the problem where a lot of my players would not trust the people that I threw at them for whatever reason. I don't know why.
I don't know
I
why.
have no idea what you're talking
Story
about.
time.
I
Story
have
time.
no idea what he's talking about. We
Somebody
always
dish.
trusted everything that
Somebody
Josh
dish.
did.
I want to know why.
I don't know. I really don't. I'm very trustworthy all the time.
All right, so Josh runs a warlock, and let's see what happened with the plant life that was the choice between the party member and
there was that one time. That was me as a
That
player,
one
though.
time.
That's a different thing.
To be fair, Josh, I never played with you as a DM, so I can't say anything.
Yeah,
As a player, though,
Oh god.
I just have to give out this one story real quick.
Yeah, do it.
So we're playing Tombs Annihilation, D&D Tombs Annihilation. Obviously, it's a very
you
like
can't bring up Tombs of Annihilation.
I have to.
he's immediately like, "You can't bring this up. That's not fair."
So this game is this system is a grindhouse. Like it just like I think I went through 6 different characters during like a year and a
Oh,
half.
jeez.
Oh my
Josh
god.
went
That's
through
up
like
there with
8.
Ravenloft, man.
Oh, it was like 9 or 10.
Was it 9 or 10? I know one game you basically had a new character and that character died like the day of.
That happens. Yep.
It does happen.
Dang.
Anywho, we're playing this one session where because we have to go into these temples and get these items for this relic to like end the curse on the island or something. So we're in one of the temples, and we got everything down straight away. Like it was just lucky guesses and all that. And as we're leaving, Josh is like, "I don't trust our DM," and he goes back and just sets off triggers left and right.
Oh,
I did not
no.
intentionally set off triggers. I just did not trust our DM. I was just gonna look around a little bit. Like, whatever. It was totally innocent.
You were playing a warlock at the time, or were you playing a rogue? Because
No,
that
that
sounds
one
like
was a
something a
druid.
rogue. Okay. Because the rogue is just gonna go. Eh.
Oh, also, Trigger Blade X said, "Did he feed someone to a man-eating plant?" He fed himself to a man-eating plant.
Oh, that happened.
That was character 2, I believe.
Oh god.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had this one like dude NPC who was with us to like carry our bags and stuff.
Snake Steve.
And he Snake Steve. He got like almost swallowed by a snake, and then we like saved him and cut him out. So then he was Snake Steve.
Oh, no.
So
Just a flesh wound.
my cleric decided that he must be lucky because
He
only
must be.
lucky people
Oh, no.
would
This is how
be
every
saved from
great
being
story
devoured by a snake.
starts. Must be lucky. Yep, that's not gonna
Also,
end
like-
well.
Then I like made him like wander out into the jungle because
While he was
surely he
drunk.
would lead me to
Oh,
some
no.
treasure or something.
While
And
they were
then
drunk.
I love how Green's just in
I
the
was not
background. Oh no.
Know what, like, just those moments where you're like, God damn it, you fucker. As a DM, like, I've only ever DM'd. I've never played as a player character, and those are the kind of things that I know my players have done, and it's just like, I love you, but I hate you at the moment too, because those
Why
are
you gotta be like
great.
this?
Right, it's great comedy moments, but fuck.
I was sure there would be some treasure, and then there wasn't.
There was a man eating plants, and like y'all both got eaten. And Paladin, who was like tied to your cleric, was
Little
very
did Josh
upset.
know that he was the treasure for the
Oh,
monsters.
no.
Also, I was left unsupervised.
I passed out from our drinking roll.
I was left unsupervised.
This is a
Mhm.
this is a
That was a
fair.
natural 1 on a Constitution roll for drink. Passed out.
So
Again, my
okay.
character became a war boar like a couple weeks later, but
Oh my gosh.
no.
So okay, I know like in some of the older styles of D&D, since that it sounds like one of the more primary ones that most people would know. Is there a like dump stat that you guys prefer to take? Because if I remember correctly, you used to be able to go down to like an 8 or a 6 or even more in some of the older editions. Was there something that was your favorite to be like, I'm going to make this a weakness and just everybody hates you because you're the one who ends up triggering that one thing or just can't do the other thing?
For our Tombs game, I think all of our dump stats were intelligence.
Really?
Oh yeah.
The highest thing I got was a
I'm not
10.
even surprised
Yeah.
about this.
Why is that a good idea?
Yeah.
I love how there's
Yeah.
like no question from Josh. Yeah.
Mm,
That's true. They were all dumb.
yeah. Usually I play int casters, but that time someone else was playing the wizard. Well, had a wizard that one time, and then he died for unrelated reasons.
The one
But so
where
the
you
rest
set
of
up-
us, that was me. That yep. Hmm.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how to follow that up
I
without
mean,
blue tag. You're it.
He's like, I'm out of here. I'm
I love how she's just like, I don't what?
Like I've seen people who will like dump stat in strength and dump stat in a lot of other things, but just intelligence seems like one that you would want to keep, especially if you're running like obviously a mage type. But I'm sure that Toons wasn't necessarily
I
a mage.
mean, I don't know. Like I played a lot. Like in Tombs, I played a lot of non wizards. Played a lot of healers, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, you actually did because
Oh, I had my wisdom was awesome. FYI.
oh yeah, wisdom was great for all of our characters. Intelligence, though?
Man.
I mean,
okay.
you were playing. that's like yeah. No, I'm right there with you.
Is it like
Yeah.
a D20 system where you like 10 is like average or whatever and
Yeah.
you go below that? Okay, so
Mhm.
in that game, how low did you guys actually go for your dump stat? Did you go down to just 8 or did you go like I have a intelligence of 4 or 2?
So if you get that low at that point, like D&D has some like, I guess like
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
Or,
isn't
like,
it like below like 5 or 4.
you
It's
can't talk anymore, or like you don't
Yeah.
like. And if you get
Okay.
to 0, you're dead skis.
You're just a hindrance at that point.
Well, if you
Just
hit
the-
0 on any ability, I think technically you die.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was actually a mechanic of them.
That's that's a hard floor. Like everything has to have at least a 1, and then like with D&D especially, they have like specific rules where if you hit like there's different thresholds for like speaking and for conscious thought. And there's different things there. I mean, if you view 10 as the average, there's quite a bit of flex room from 10 to 0, to be honest.
Oh, sure.
I think we had like one of our rounds with whatever combination of characters we had at the time. One of our other friends was playing. Was she a ranger?
Yeah, she was.
A dwarf
Yes.
ranger?
think so.
And I think she probably had the highest intelligence at the time in the group at a 10. And then we were just trudging through the jungle, and then it started raining, and then we were talking about the throat leeches in the river and how they can't possibly be in the rain coming from the sky because if they're in the river, they don't have wings.
But
It was bad.
they could have. So,
Very bad.
These are the conversations you have when your
Well,
intelligence is 10 and under.
okay,
Our typical Friday night talks around the D&D
right, right.
And your DM sitting there going, I don't, what? Like,
That, if you have an experienced DM, good on them for being able to roll with that kind of stuff. It's just shenanigans left and right. That's what I
leeches
swear
don't have
D&D is.
wings.
D&D is, oh man, just any role play is just like, how far can we push this person's sanity
Mm-hmm.
Although
who's running these games?
I feel like that conversation happened right before Snake Steve got eaten by that snake.
I think it
So-
was.
Wait, Snake Steve got eaten by a snake?
Yeah, that's how he got named Snake
Yeah.
Steve.
Oh my god.
That's
Yeah,
his
when he
name.
became Snake Steve.
but I thought he had also. Oh God. Okay.
Because he didn't die then. That's why he was lucky.
Oh my gosh.
He was
I'm gonna
just background Steve before.
Oh
It's
my
just
gosh.
like, you know, one of our carriers.
Mhm.
Like we had them all named, but Steve's the only one we get cared about at that point.
But we forgot all the other names. They didn't matter.
He calls like
We're in Snake Steve.
something.
Carry this.
I don't know.
It reminds me of like Blue's story about having the guys was a companion in the bag of holding.
Yeah.
And
we stole his animal companion and tricked it into the bag of holding that he carried. He was very upset with us when he finally did kind of figure all that out. We were like,
he was alive.
He was alive and he was close to you, so you were still getting benefits. We don't understand why you're upset. It's like, it's the best of both worlds. We fed him, kind of.
Oh dear.
Now, Blue, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one for a little bit, because I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm going through like stories of like characters that I know of that people have created and whatnot, but creating a character's voice is not necessarily a strong suit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question too is like not necessarily if, I mean, I guess this goes both if you have created one or if you've played a game with someone that has like a really, really strong sense of kind of touching on that individuality piece that Green had mentioned, you know, like what would be when you're looking at developing a character's voice, you know, and not like voice like auditory voice, but like their underlying voice for NPCs, you know, what is a good like tip or trick you think that you've seen done, or if you've done yourself, that helps like really kind of help NPCs stand out from just background white noise? Like, do you guys have anything that you comes to the top of your mind with that?
I would say background, honestly. So if it's someone who comes from like a more like, you know, royal class, they'll maybe learn how to talk slower and like more eloquently than one who like you just who comes from the country, and so you know they'll have a different accent than them, and like I really just try. I know you said one tip or trick, but it's really just like
No, I mean, yeah,
combination of things.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's that's you know, that's worth kind of diving into, right? Is like how to for someone who hasn't done that, who might try to be or interested in trying to do it, what's a good way to, I guess, practice? How did you get to a point where you felt comfortable doing that?
15 years of LARPing.
So just basically doing it, like, you know, just jumping in and doing it.
Yeah, just getting in there and either acting, improv, playing games, and then like having various types of characters that you make different voices for. That really helps out a lot, because you'll be like, okay, my character for one game I'm playing currently is a war domain paladin. So she's a lot rougher with her words. Her voice is a little bit deeper, just because a war domain paladin. No, I was like, oh no, she's a cleric. Damn it.
This is why we have Josh. Fact check right here.
The joke is that they call her a paladin because she's a war domain cleric.
Oh,
like,
okay.
And then like, yeah. Oh no.
And I'm just confused because I know she has like 7 clerics.
Like,
Josh is just like, no, I'm just lost at this point.
Look, I like clerics, okay?
Look.
3P support.
I mean, you probably find yourself gravitating towards a particular class as far as playability. Is cleric going to be yours? Like, Josh, what would yours be then?
I mean, well, traditionally I've done wizards, but like I don't know, the last couple years
I don't think I
tried
ever
to
seen you
switch
play
things
a
up.
wizard.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, Bard was super fun, and I will totally go back to Bard. But like
Oh God, Bard.
classically, it's been wizard.
Blue.
I generally go with rogues or monks.
Okay.
Mostly it's because of the versatility for skills more than anything. So mine is usually tends to be because of actual functionality more than, I don't know. But
Green, I know you said
I'm
you
also a
ran
person that's happy to play human, so because you get extra stuff.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
You said you used to run games, but if you wanted to play, like, what was your first choice class?
I enjoyed ranger or rogue builds personally,
Oh.
which I like the versatility. I like being more of a jack of all trades with a lot of my characters, but I don't
You
know.
should try a Bard.
That's okay. So when you said my bards are fun, my brain went immediately to whom? Like who? Like I've heard so many freaking horror stories about bards just getting everything into trouble. Like,
She's not wrong.
I mean, my Bard was the primary healer for the party, so I was very important.
necessity. I know this thing. When you are like, oh my gosh, that's so funny though.
Yeah, so they have fun with me or they die.
You have to play with me, guys. I am literally the only thing keeping you alive. No, don't talk about that potion. There's no need for that potion. It costs too much money. Just come here. Just
Let's
get
go
me a
get
drink.
drunk.
Let's get a drink, and then let's go fix things.
Mhm.
Fixing
Exactly.
meaning find the nearest tavern again, and maybe a brothel or two, depending on the characters and whatnot.
Freeport didn't need brothels.
Freeport was a brothel. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's funny. Do you have any notorious characters that you guys really, really enjoyed? Like either anybody, just favorite characters you've ever played that you're like, I could go back and like live in that person's head for a little while because just fun.
I have this character that I was playing in a game before all this happened, and it's another cleric, but it's a nature domain cleric who has a very low charisma stat.
Wait,
so,
how?
Because she's very shy and awkward around people, but when talking to plants and animals, she's a-okay.
Okay.
Her best friends.
She's a she's a tree hugger, but actually can do stuff with them.
So like everybody thought she was a druid, but she's like, no, I'm a cleric. But the thing is, they push like we be in like cities and stuff and social situations. She's like, I'm good. Okay, bye, and she just leaves.
Oh, jeez. Were there any situations that your DM put you in specifically to test that weakness or whatever, that struggle for your character?
He had a wood elf hitting on her.
Oh gosh.
Hard, and she was just like an awkward bean the whole time, like just like think Tina from Bob's Burgers, like.
Oh god. Like, okay. Okay.
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
I had fun as a player. I had a blast, but the character herself is helpful. And once she like gets to know her party, she's very like open with them. But as soon as someone else comes into the mix, she's like,
How long did it take her to actually warm up to the party then, or was this a pre-established party?
It wasn't a pre-established party, but it took her, I'd say the first game, just because I didn't want to like on her being awkward with the crew for too long, because
makes it hard for a party.
Also makes it harder not only for her and the DM and the rest of the party. It just gets old.
Yeah,
it's like the idea of like whenever you like bring something new that's like mind blowing, you have that mind blowing moment, then you move on. Don't like don't sit on it and just keep ruminating because it gets boring and old from a spectator perspective.
That's fair.
Yes. This thing happened. Okay, let's do the thing.
Josh, do you have a notorious character that you absolutely love?
I mean, I love most of my characters.
I was like, just one shot.
Okay. If you had to play this character for the next year in quarantine, like it's the only character you can touch, which character would you choose?
Well, I mean, right now I'm playing this Warforged monk, which is fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of like come up with his backstory, it's like he was like built for a like war type purpose and then ended up in a gladiatorial ring for entertainment and has just been pretty okay with wants to be a little bit more peaceful, and so like interacting with the other members of the party and just being kind of more the Warforged Munkin seems like he should be very like lawful and stick to the rules. It's very like they fair kind of attitude, I guess,
Okay.
which is fun.
That
I don't know,
the serious kind of stoic character in some respects.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I like creating characters for being weird and different, I guess.
Yeah. No worries. Blue, do you have a notorious character?
Notorious, no, not so much. I want to say there was a game way back in when that it was a freeform game that I created a character that was basically it was a cleric / monk of a deity of death, basically, and he actually became an avatar of it. And like basically, it was so that we could sacrifice that character to kind of close out the overarching storyline. But it was a really, really fun character to not just design, but also to play for the time that I played him. And that was probably that's honestly been one of my go-to characters when when you start talking about stuff like modeling NPCs off of and stuff like that. Like the whole, just because it was really fun to play, and a lot of the other players, it was on a play-by-post forum, but a lot of the other characters that were involved actually really appreciated like the way that we wrote him into the storyline, because it basically allowed us to close up one of those situations where it's like, oh yeah, this got really bad really fast, and there's no way that we're going to fix this really, and so without like sacrificing a player character. And so we used him basically to kind of get out of that situation, which was, like I said, it was an interesting solution to the problem. But yeah, no, that's the one that comes immediately to mind for me, at least.
Have any of your characters come back, like after they've died, their legend or whatever? Has your DM been able to write them back into the story a little bit if that campaign continues, or maybe not necessarily make them a huge deal? We don't need like any statue of Jane or anything like that, but something just no. Although that is one of my favorite episodes. But is there any sort of memento to any of your characters that has lasted past the characters' lives?
I know what we used to do back when we played D&D was whenever we would have like we always played like long lasting campaigns. And as a rule, what we'd always do to keep things interesting was once our characters hit level 20, we would retire them basically, but we would use them as mentors for our new characters. So basically, they would graduate into an NPC status, but still be present in the game world as basically instructors for the new, generation or what have you of characters. And that was always fun because it let us still, they were still present. And it also gave us the opportunity to get a fresh, a new face basically to play as.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So if you were to write a new character today, would you pick something that would be your same thing as normal, like your favorite style, or would you go into something totally different? This is kind of a question for all of you guys. Mainly asking, we know that you have like a favorite that you like to run, but do you branch out, I guess, rather than just kind of stick with the same one?
Yeah, Morgan, what kind of cleric domain are you going to pick this time?
I think I've played them all, thank you, at this point. Actually, no, like, death clerics don't really appeal to me. Abyss clerics don't really appeal to me, so, like, I don't know, because the thing is, like, a lot of people don't usually pick clerics as their first, like, clerics are usually like, oh, we don't want to be or whatever.
They don't want to be a healer. Yeah.
But I've played enough D&D that I'm like, whatever, I'll play a healer, no big deal, like, I can still make this fun.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say. You can make healers can be.
Yeah, my Moor domain cleric is like she's not the leader, quote unquote, but whenever it comes to anything tactical or fighty, they look to her for that. So like my grave domain cleric that we have in our Strahd game, she's just a little weirdo.
I mean, we're all kind of weirdos in Strahd.
That's true.
Isn't that kind of the point of everybody just enjoying each other in a D&D or role-playing game? Just being your own little weirdos? Like, I love being able to act out completely different than what I normally do.
Mm-hmm. Some people, some people love
maybe
doing
I am a
that.
bard.
In hindsight.
No, if anybody off of FOC is a freaking bard, it's Justin.
That is 100% accurate.
I can see that.
That's
100%. That one time,
100% accurate. Like no
question.
No question at all.
Hey, didn't Justin say he never played D&D before? Don't we need to get a game going for him?
Yes, he also said that he would be willing to play a game.
That would be amazing and terrifying.
Oh my god, I want to be part of that so bad.
So you guys had talked about a little bit, Jay talked about he does play-by-post, but is there obviously there's nothing that beats an in-person game where you have the actual mat in front of you and any of your models or anything like that you deal with. And that's another question. Do you guys prefer to use an actual physical map? Because I know that 5th edition, didn't they get rid of that a little bit, or did they bring that back in?
Yeah, they still have it because a lot of their ranges and like you can need to go 30 feet and like spell only has a diameter of 20 or whatever, and it's have to map it out with like maps like that. You gotta have these, and that's fine if you enjoy that. But as someone who's starting to move away from D&D a lot and playing more of like the indie or other systems that are more narrative based, you don't need that. As long as the game's fun, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, you could just hit the guy. Like,
as long as you describe it in a way that isn't A, overpowered, and B, kind of fun, whatever.
Yeah, just one of the things in Powered by Apocalypse is tell what honesty demands. So just be honest about your.
Let's
talk about them. I'll like how you think they'd be, and not like, oh, you assume they are, and this you think they're almighty, and they. No, you still have rules and regulations to go by on your sheet. So like, let those please.
Right. So when you're doing when you are doing a game that is more verbal, less dice oriented or less map oriented, I guess dice are still pretty, or at least some sort of probability generator are still pretty important. Just because otherwise you're gonna have people just go rampant on things. Is it just an honor system of trying not to go too OP, or is there more guidelines to that? Because I've freelanced RP'd, just text RP'd with a lot of people, and it's pretty easy to just make yourself way stronger than any story is needed. It just kind of makes your character unrelatable and not very easy to play with. So is there anything that's out there that you would say is a really good way to help mitigate that?
Well, I know the games I play, like Powered by Apocalypse, for example, everybody gets a playbook, which means that your character sheet is on 2 pages, and your stats, or there's only 4 stats that you really have, and you can choose and then depending on which type of game that's in that system, choose what numbers each stat has, and there's chosen numbers that you pick. Or you have 2 sets and you pick one or the other. You circle 2 moves, or like 2 powers that your character has, and then everybody has moves. And then with that, they have these 2 special moves that go along with that playbook. So it does balance each other out in that aspect where this is what the sheet says. You can use all these base moves, and you have 2 specific moves to your character. So just I think the game designers who in place really made really good choices and a lot of balancing in there. So when it comes to us and getting our little grubby hands on it, it's actually something that's playable and not overpowered.
Nice.
I think part of it that helps too is just having a group of people that you know and are comfortable with. Because like I've done a lot of play by post stuff also, and like knowing the people that I'm games with, like
Mhm.
we're at least comfortable enough with each other to play off of each other and to not have a character just be completely OP or something.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I
Yeah.
know for us when it tends to be also kind of going off what Josh was saying there is like that's why you see a lot of times, at least for what I've seen, is once a group kind of finds a group, like once people kind of find a group that they click with, they will literally bounce from game to game on, like our poll is basically it's a message board play by post system, and like literally the groups that bounce from game to game on our poll, they're really they ultimately are all part of the same group. Like they all kind of tend to know each other very well. um I've noticed that's very common with play by post, and I think that's exactly going back to what Josh was just saying, is like it's because once you find a group that is like, hey, they know how to play off each other without being OP, it makes it really fun, but it also makes it a lot more familiar and more easy to be kind of like to kind of try out those crazy builds that you were talking about earlier too.
Sure. It's
Yeah,
the
I think part of it too is just like that. Like, there's always going to be a system that, or systems will always have mechanics built in to try and prevent someone from taking over the spotlight, but having that relationship around the table to that, I don't know, it makes you less likely to build, um, less likely to min max a character. Like I did organized play for Pathfinder for a little bit, and since that was every night of that was playing with a different group of people, bothered with character development. Like it was all just like, I'm gonna build something to fight things, and I'm gonna be the best there is in my class. So like everyone was awful. But once you settle down with an actual party, then things
Mm-hmm.
start to ease up a
Yeah.
lot more.
Yeah.
just more competitive rather than cooperative. Because I
Right.
mean, that's the whole point of it, right? It's the cooperative storytelling aspect.
Yeah, it's really kind of
Yeah.
weird actually when you say that, because it is exactly what's happening, but it's like it's this weird competitive cooperative game where everyone is trying to and sometimes it's not even really overt, right? It's like what Josh was just saying there. It's like I'm gonna be the best in my class, and sometimes the classes step on each other. Like
Mhm.
you can have classes that are really good fighters, quote unquote, but then you have a fighter. So what's more important, that your cleric who's also a decent fighter is more of a fighter, or it's it just kind of, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that you have to be really careful as a DM is how many different variances of characters you're getting into your game. Because if you have multiple people fulfilling the same role, it's going to be boring for all three of them because they're never going to be able to shine in their own way, right? Like that's the whole point of making sure you have party diversity so they can shine.
But then
Or you,
sometimes, like, that's
I was gonna,
when people get real
yeah.
creative.
Oh,
Yeah, or you can have like games that are specified, like, yeah, we're gonna do an all bard game or an all
Oh my
cleric
god.
group.
Our bar that we played D&D at, the first year they did it, there was this all bard party. They were amazing. I miss Barteritaville.
how do you get
Margaritaville was the
anything
best.
done? Like it's
They probably
literally just
to be fair, they probably get a lot done because they're all competing with each other.
good lord.
Yeah, you're able to find like your own niche within the same like class, for example. Like that's why I play so many clerics. None of them are the same at all. Like they're all the same class technically.
Hmm. Do you
Yeah, like
do you
I've
have the
played.
exact same builds within that same class, or?
Not really. Like my Grave Domain cleric has more charismatic than my nature domain. My war domain's a lot stronger than any of them. And then, like for example, I made a Unity cleric, which is like a new UA character. Basically, she's an anime character killing things with love and whatnot. And she has a very high charisma.
As you
So
do. As you do.
I made a gelatinous cube like go up in sparkles and hearts. So yeah.
Wait, you made a gelatinous cube do what?
Blow up.
So
You haven't seen
like
that episode of Sailor Moon?
I was
yeah,
just about to say, and the power of the moon.
I mean, it's
I actually do put it on like a higher pitched voice, like, all right, guys, let's go in there and we gotta stop these things and
oh
we
my
can
god.
do it. Come on.
That is amazing. Just sparkles. I just want it's just like making a unicorn just excrete rainbows at that point in my mind.
I love it. Yep.
So this character is a lot different from this character who's like ready to fight and ready to go. It's still from the same person, which is me. Like, it just
Oh,
depends on
sure.
how I'm holding myself. And like, obviously when I'm doing the exciting one, I'm sitting up, like bouncing in my chair almost, like I embody the character, even if it's just like a little bit.
Sure. It's fun to actually act out the characters. Like I love acting on stage because you get to live that person for a little while, right? Like obviously not to the depths of like Heath Ledger did with Joker or anything like that, but you still get to act out a little bit in a totally different way.
And I think that's why I enjoy LARPing a lot, is because you get to be in that character's shoes for like an hour, 3 hours, a weekend, depending on what the game itself.
I mean, I
Like,
imagine too that helps you like separate that space in your mind for that character, and like once you're in that physical stance, then it's like, okay, like now it's easier for me to be this person.
and even with some other games too, you can actually put on like costumes for that character. As you're getting dressed, you're becoming that character slowly but surely.
Right.
You put on, like, for example, I played in a hard, like a gritty sci-fi game, and I put on my red goggles because she's from Mars, and I'm like, all right, I'm this character now, a botanist from Mars. Let's do this. Like,
Right. Like it's just we talk about it in Destiny of embodying the class types, right? You have your hunters and your titans and your warlocks. They're all still people. They're all still awoken exos and humans, but
I mean, some of them are people.
I mean, if we really want to go down that road, no. Guardian games, anyone? And no, the thing is each of these different classes have their own stereotypes, right? You have your own physicalities that kind of embody those classes, as well as just you have the crayon eaters, quote unquote, or the bookworms, or the thumb sucking cape huggers type things. Like you get all sorts of different little tidbits that you can personify with it.
I did like I just started playing Destiny like this year, but I like
Nice.
that I first tried playing each of the classes like it with like a class emote and a race emote to like I don't know. I feel like stuff like that like helps you get your mind around a little bit more.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that that is very much so accurate for a lot of people. Just being able to dive into that character's head. And I know quite a few people personally who love to RP as their own characters in game. And have you done that with other games? Or, I mean, obviously you RP just for fun in general as just like a normal RP, but do you ever personify your characters in video games? Are you selling turnips right now on a lonely island, kind of cursing this raccoon off to the side?
That does remind me.
Do you need to go check your turnips? Too late. Too late for turnips right now.
Is there like a time limit on those things?
Damn
No,
it.
it's late in the day because the store closes at 10 p.m. whatever your time zone is.
Oh, really?
So
Huh.
and the store doesn't open until 8 a.m. in the next morning. So
Oh my goodness. That's
It's
so
very
funny.
unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate.
not with Animal Crossing, just because it's like it's cutesy and an embodiment of me. But I used to do that for it was some sort of like MMO, so like it gave me a reason to RP thing. Like even whenever I play The Sims, for example, yes, these two. One's going to college. She wants to learn. However, she's got hots for teacher. Like
Lots for teacher. Mm.
Whoa.
It's The Sims. What do you want?
I mean, I had a story of a friend of mine who was playing Sims the other day, and she set up this gorgeous house, and the entire house got burnt down because she forgot to teach one of her male avatars how to cook, and he
Oh.
burnt the grilled cheese, and she didn't put any fire alarms in the house.
No.
So her really very sweet male character just completely murdered the entire household and committed suicide in the process because he couldn't
Isn't
make a grilled cheese.
isn't that how you play The Sims?
I mean,
Please do that with intent. Accidentally.
I've seen people who build a completely solid room and stick a character in there and never let them leave and just watch them starve. It's just like, okay, that's a little dark.
And on
I
that
watched
note,
It's all flu while you can.
well, I was just gonna say, if we want to wrap up for this particular episode and then jump back in for like a more kind of, I always hesitate to call them advanced because it's just really a continuation of our shenanigan conversation. But real quick, just to kind of wrap up this particular one, do you guys have any, or Morgan, Josh, do you guys have any shout outs or to remind us real quick where we can find you out there in the internets?
First drop.
Josh first? Okay.
I am on Twitter at Informage, and I have some posts available on the Lore Network.
And they're good.
They are good. They are fun to read.
I have a lot of feelings.
You do, and you have a
Picard,
very good
YOLO!
voice. You have a very good voice when you describe those feelings.
Morgan, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Serena Bezos. I also do actual play podcasts. I run Powered by the Players, which is a rotating cast of mini campaigns and one-shots of Powered by the Apocalypse games. I'm on the Red Death podcast, which is 1890s D&D.
1890s D&D. That's an interesting time frame.
So I will explain that in our next segment, so I don't carry this on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to
No
talk.
worries.
Well, I mean that definitely will be. I want to talk about that because that definitely probably ties into the dialogue piece, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And Green, what about you?
Shout outs and general things for me mainly have to do with the fact that there might be in the works. Now, this is very vague, and I'm leaving it very vague, but I may have tweeted at a particular Bungie dev the other day about doing a particular type of event, and I may have gotten a response from that dev. So you maybe in the future will see me doing a Bungie bounty at some point. Won't be in this run, most likely, but we're working on it. We're working on it. If you want to come shoot me in PlayStation and Crucible, I will let you know when that happens.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is just actually a big shout out to my little guy whose birthday is actually tomorrow. So
Aw.
by the time everyone hears this, it'll be well past that. But for those who are in the live stream, yeah, his birthday is going to be tomorrow. So we've already been informed by him what the day's plans are. He is.
So what are they?
We are going to play lots of Legos. He wants me to make pancakes, and we're going to have a pancake bar for him. And this is what happens when your birthday party is during a shelter-in-place order. You basically
amazing.
Oh my
no,
God,
no,
mail me
no,
some
like,
pancakes.
Right?
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I will figure out a way to mail pancakes.
I think you should.
I think I'll see what we can figure out.
They're going to be cardboard by the time they get here.
Yeah,
but
I mean, to be fair, Josh has mailed us cookies before, so
that's awesome.
Weren't there muffins involved in one of the mail drops? Was it
Maybe,
you?
or possibly they were supposed to be cookies. I don't remember. It's been a while.
So, but yeah, no, a big shout out or a big happy birthday to him for tomorrow. But just want to say again to all of our listeners and to those people in live chat with us, thank you again for spending your time with us. With wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. I'm going to go hide in a corner.
So this whole let's run a game for Justin to play D&D for the first time, I kind of want to be there for this thing if we actually make it a thing.
To do a live stream focus fire.
Oh my God. Do you realize how ridiculous it would be?
I'm not going to be able to play because I'll be laughing so much.
That's going to be the best part.
I just ran a game this past weekend. It's a one-shot game called Squirrel Friends, where basically you play squirrels in a park.
Justin would be down for this.
And so, thing is, the squirrels were trying to help these older ladies that really feed them the good stuff. They're being attacked by the main crows. But the thing is, they had to go across a kid's birthday party that had a bounce house.
Oh no!
My face hurts so much from laughing because of that. It was.
This just
amazing.
reminds me of this just sounds like a very small step away from Happy Tree Friends. This could go wrong.
It's not as chaotic and gross like that. It's
it's just it sounds like it could just easily be turned into that.
Yeah. If you fail your roll, you say "on nuts," and then
oh no,
you're "on
no."
nuts." I'm oh, you fail your roll. They're yeah. I'm all right, well.
Oh,
now you get picked up by the kid who's been eating cotton candy, and you hold it up to their parents and go, "Eddie."
Oh my
5-year-old kids think all animals are cats. rabies, rather.
Oh
That's
my
how
So- and-
5-year-old kids get rabies.
Happy
That's what
tree
kind of squirrel I
friends.
would be.
But eventually that one scroll was covered in like those blue stripes because of the sticky stripes from the kid's fingers. He was eating all that cotton candy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then got like pieces of like was not wrapping paper but tissue paper from a gift they stole up to him, and then he was eating potato salad, and so he was just like a hot mess of a squirrel.
It's awesome.
Ah, nuts.
Ah,
Oh,
nuts.
nuts. It's a really cute game. It's just a one pager, so we really had fun around it.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It was they had really good interactions between them, so I was just like, muted myself and just dying on the other end because I did not want to break it up by me laughing over them.
Oh my goodness. I just
Alright.
can't imagine Justin not coming up with some of the most obscene, weird, not drug induced, but you wonder kind of things. Like,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, just a bit.
Oh Lord.
Sorry. Did you
Oh,
find a
no.
hiding spot?
Yeah, but then the guy with the turret decided to come in here. So now I'm
You
chasing
watching-
people down.
Is that you playing blue or is it
Yeah,
or is that
yeah.
green? Okay.
Pop.
Yeah, I'm on Destiny running bounties because
Wait, this
that
isn't
is
Destiny?
my
What
life.
game is this?
That
This
is
is
Halo.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's a sci-fi shooter game. I thought it was the same thing.
Could have been.
Yeah, there's some degree where they're similar.
Green,
More
I feel
than most.
like you're not allowed to be on Destiny running bounties right now on your hunter. So
Yeah, right? Like, I have to go and tie myself to the Crucible or something like that at this point.
yeah,
Nah.
we're just like switch to a warlock and be like more palatable for everyone.
Oh. I've had multiple people ask me if I were to ever play a class based off of the personality of the class, if I would pick a warlock or a titan over hunter. Blue, would you like to answer that? Do you think I could fit the warlock
No.
or titan?
No. I mean, no. You're a hunter.
I could kind of be.
I mean,
Kind of,
anyone
I'm-
can kind of be any of them. Like that's the thing. But
I like to punch things, dodge and roll. I could kind of titan. I could
Yeah.
titan.
I
My
mean,
wife titans. My wife is a
yeah.
titan. She
Yeah.
doesn't play Destiny. She is a titan.
punch it
She
harder.
Oh my gosh. So she's been helping this little girl make a memory box for her cat who passed away. So they've been building out this wooden box, which Julie is a huge advocate for, like teaching not just younger girls, but like women in general, how to work with tools and how to fix things around the house on their own and not feel like they have to have a repairman come in. So she helped this little girl, taught her how to use, I think the girl was in like 3rd grade or whatever, taught her how to use power tools and hammers and how to apply paint correctly and making sure that you have this screwdriver aligned and everything when you're putting the brackets on. Turned out really, really well, but one section of it wasn't quite fitting and she just started beating on the box and it went into the right shape. And I just sat there and smiled. I just sat and smiled.
When you started telling this story, I was like, how is this going to end up with like punching and titans? And then there it went.
She needed to fix the box. The best tool that you have is your fist. It's amazing.
I love Josh. Is like, how is this going to? Oh, now I see.
I'll come back around eventually. There will be a segue into the point of this story. Oh my goodness.
Oh, all right. Let's start real quick. Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on May 1st, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring NPC dialogue in game worlds. I'm not going to call this the advanced session because, well, it's just continuation of our shenanigans. Though we are going to talk about 1890 D&D dialogue, I think, is the conversation that we're going to have a little bit on here. But before we go any further, let's run through a quick introduction of who we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
This is the completely burned out on Forges, but I have that Triumph done, so I don't have to go in them anymore. Green Eye Music Lover.
She sounds so excited.
It's just, I like Forges, but no.
How many low scores have you handed out today?
I have not handed out any low scores. I didn't have anybody just trying to farm laurels. Like, okay, I get the whole farming the laurels cheese thing where you just kill the yellow bars over and over to extend the timer. But when you're in there with blueberries, you just don't. You're making it last longer than it needs to. I didn't need any laurels. I just needed the thing completed. So, okay, thanks, don't do that.
Okay, thanks to do that. Well, we also have with us as guest co-hosts Serena Bezos and Informage, Morgan and Josh. How are you guys doing?
I'm just, I don't know what you guys are
dictate
talking
who talks
about.
when. Okay, yeah,
Oh.
that's fair.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so I'm just amused and enjoying the conversation, even though I have no idea what's going on.
That's me a lot of the time, so you're in good company.
Hey.
Nah,
Josh,
it's
how about you?
an event thing.
I don't know. I got distracted with Forges, and I forgot what the question was.
I think they're just asking how you were.
Who? You play a warlock, right?
I do.
Okay, just checking.
I got distracted with Forges.
I feel like I should be offended by that comment.
No.
But okay.
No. I'm just giving you grief. You were talking about how Hunter shouldn't be really working on stuff and doing their own things, and it's just like warlocks. It's just the funny stereotype things I guess we're going through nowadays that turns into toxicity at any point. So, you do what you can.
So, anyways, 1890s
yeah.
D&D.
Let's do it.
I want to know more about this, Morgan.
So Mask of the Red Death is actually a second edition D&D module. But so basically it focuses on using D&D systems going into, but using 1890 setting. So like you'll all play humans because the other races don't exist when it comes to this. But you'll be facing things like Jack the Ripper or vampires or werewolves. So very vampire hunter sort of like esque
literary type.
Yeah, so it's based off of the poem "Mask of the Red Death" by Edgar Allan Poe, where it talks about like this evil force that's slowly seeping into society, and you, as a group, are trying to stop it. So, and this force is like infecting part of like this weird. Some of you are part of this like circle where you're invisible to the Red Death, but you're like fighting the good side and trying to be a part of it, and you're a magic caster. And then they have arrows who basically are just their guardians. It's fun. I play a cleric in that game, but
Surprise.
It's called a metaphysician. Actually, no, it's called a mystic physician. It's a different title. Basically, it's a life domain cleric, and in short, the way I play her, because the game style itself is a curandera, or a Mexican folk healer from South Texas.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is it taking place in like the North America
Yeah,
region, or are you guys in like Europe?
decided to use the Boston in the 1890s, 1890
Okay.
Boston. So we actually got like an old map, kind of know the layout and stuff. But yeah.
Nice.
The story behind her is that she was learning because her grandma raised her, her abuela. Then eventually her grandma fell to dementia and then like passed away. Um, one of her grandma's old friends came to visit when she heard she passed. Um, but then the character went on like some sort of like pain induced weird, like whenever you're so much in pain you get hallucinations,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So that sort of helped awaken her powers as what she does, and then seeing dreams of going to the north from her grandma every single night. So eventually she went to Boston.
Nice. Blue, do you have any questions about the 1890s
Yeah,
campaign?
I'm
Because
curious, like how do you? So you're just a player in that.
I'm a player in that one.
Okay, so I guess how does that DM run it differently than you would? I mean, because it sounds like an obvious question, but how do you run it differently than you would your average D&D or tabletop? Like, what do they do anything special to help the atmosphere differ?
I think for him he talks a lot about air, and then there's just that buy-in that we all have where we all understand like, hey, this is the 1890s. Well, it's not going to be like strictly the 1890s that we know it as today, but more like 2020 mindset in 1890 sort of situation. Because I play someone from like my culture who is she's a Mexican folk healer, so she's indigenous to Texas. We have another character who comes from a Korean family, her family's a doctor, and she just graduated college. So it's a lot more of a very liberal mindset than like this is the 1890s where women were just there and men did all the talking, or just it's a very different like it plays a more it's more palatable for us as players instead of being like holistic.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
more of a modernistic version of the 1890s. But like, so like, does he do, or do they have like a specific way of like doing dialogue for the characters that is different than like your average NPCs in your normal games, or do they kind of, is it just using that underlying understanding from everyone that kind of colors the conversations?
He'll do voices on occasion, like for example, we fight some white supremacists, which is fun. And one of the leaders was a man from the South, so he had a very Southern accent. And so our DM actually put off like, now listen here, I think you're going to die by the end of the night. We're going to be fighting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are always fun. I'm just curious when I think 1890s, I think industrial era, right? Like that's that kind of sort of flavor that you get from that time frame, and I automatically almost always go to steampunk in my mind. Is he doing a steampunk thing, or is it
No.
okay?
No steampunk here. But yeah.
Nice.
It's very more like, and I'm such a nerd when it comes to historical stuff. I'm like, I get it right. But like Morgan, no one cares. I'm like, no, I must look into this. So actually, I on my end, I actually did research in regards to like clothing and like outfits, and then like just, I don't know. I did a lot.
Nice.
So what's your character's name?
Names
How do they talk?
name's Ignacia. And I think just because of who she is, she has a more of a softer tone. It's like a firm soft. I don't know what that means. It's just something that sits on the back of the throat, and she speaks slowly. And
More weighted.
yeah, it definitely has more weight to it for her because
Yeah.
she tries to be more picky about her words and how she talks, and more just all right, cool. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this the right way. But she knows, she's like one of the few who actually knows magic.
Okay.
Because it's basically it's a 4-person player game. It's I have her, then or the Korean American one I was talking about. Her name is Agnes. She plays essentially quote unquote. It's called a metaphysician in the game. It has bard like powers, but she doesn't play like a bard. She plays it like a skeptic. So she was the type that always went to all the occult shows and whatnot, and like, was like, boo, this is fake because of this, and like,
Right.
Nice.
So
She's
anytime she started doing magic, she actually was like, no, it's hypnotism, or like, oh, I'm hallucinating, and like she'd always like find a rational reason why this magic is happening on her. Now that we're in
Kind of
like
a fun little quirk to have for a character. Probably.
yeah, and
Go for it. Sorry.
I'm gonna say now that we're like into like our 3rd season, however, she's like, all right, I guess I do magic, but I'm not a fan of it. she's accepting at this point, but she's not like out of it.
Blue.
Well, I was going to say, so you guys mentioned like quirks and stuff like that. Do you guys find that doing that assists with developing your own like dialogue or your understanding of the dialogue that characters have? I'm thinking here, like, especially not just for role playing, but for like story writing too. Like when you're trying to figure out the character's voice or whatever. Does having that kind of build out in your head, do you find that helps or hinders, the process? Again, these are questions that, like, as I'm asking them, I feel like I know the answer, but I want to ask them anyways, just in case you guys have a surprise for me. So, like, with the, they're not necessarily character flaws, but like character quirks or character like specific unique characteristics. How do you think that plays into developing dialogue? Like, is it a big part of that? Is it a like not very essential part of it? What would you say?
I mean, I think that's a pretty essential part of building them out as a person, rather than just a box of information.
Right.
But I also have a tendency to overthink a lot of my characters, and I have to like NPCs in like a game. Like if a player finds someone interesting, then like later on I have to use downtime to all of that to like better develop them next time. I don't know. Morgan's better with like the live kind of stuff.
I do like I do things on the fly. Josh has played at my table a couple of times, so sometimes you just gotta go with that, and you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's why sometimes I'll ask for breaks. Like, okay, let's take like a 5-minute bio break, and then like during that time, like, oh shoot, what are we doing? I'm just in the bathroom, just staring in the mirror, like, what's going on?
Oh, what? Is that why DMs keep asking about breaks? I feel bad now.
we gotta take a minute. So that's why we say, all right, let's do a bio break. So we're like, okay, cool.
You know, on my
Josh is like,
that happens so many times, and like all of us at the table, we're just looking around like, no, we're good. Let's keep going.
We just had our break 5 minutes ago. What's going on? Oh, that cracks me up.
But your DM's like new to your shenanigans. Give him time, okay?
I know.
Be nice,
I know that makes
Josh.
me feel real bad now.
Give him a chance. He's trying. So side note, Monday, because I don't know if the bar we play at basically has like 12 different DMs and whatnot. Their DM had to leave quickly because he got a job promotion. So we found a new DM to stick in for the table, but he's new to the whole thing. Like he's never played there before or anything like that. So
Oh wow! So he's like completely.
yeah. So he I think joined your table the first game just to like see how like it went, and then like
And he
talk to
joined
us
Josh's
afterwards.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
then he like came running the table like the next game, and we're like,
Yeah,
like,
he ran 2 games, and then everything went into quarantine, so it's been super fun.
I'll play
He's
online
been
right now.
really like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he's actually a very good DM, but
Good.
like, but yes, I feel bad now that I should give him more breaks.
I should give him more breaks. I'm just impressed that he came back for a second round.
Surprised, yeah. Well, like he was able to hang out with us after he got to play and like see it and talk to us, and I basically messaged him later like, how do you, because I don't play or
How
I
you
don't run
feeling?
games
Was
anymore.
Josh nice?
I was like, how did it go? Is everything okay? Because what I do there now is because I played and I ran tables, and now just because I'm so busy with podcasts and whatnot, I'm just like, I can't. So I basically do like the HR stuff where like I make sure we get players for the tables. If they need someone to talk to and they can't talk to their DM or the bar owner, they can come to me.
That's cool.
Just like, I just try to be a friendly face so people say hi. My friends. So like, but yeah, so basically I was like, hey, how did it go? Everything good? Okay, cool. All right.
Are we gonna see you next week?
Please tell me. I don't want to randomly run a table because I'll do that too. Like if a DM can't run for a second, I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I'll run the table. All right. I suppose.
That's funny.
Do you mean running a table as in taking over for another DM when a
Yeah.
group comes in, or?
Yeah, like for example, like a DM gets sick that day, and then to run that table that night for the bar, and their players are still looking to play, and none of the players themselves want to take on the role or anything like that. I'll step in and be like, "All right, give me some notes. Let me figure this out."
So in that case, is it like a long-term campaign, or are these more like that one-shot squirrel campaign where you kind of know the beats of the story that you're going to be telling, but you're still having to develop it out?
I'm having to continue on that story. Kind of like whenever you watch a TV show and there's a guest writer for that episode.
Okay.
So like all of
You-
season 5 of Supernatural.
Yeah.
Season 5 was the last.
Or
good
season 6. Season
so
6. Season 6.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say
Sorry,
season
I couldn't
3
remember.
of Heroes,
I couldn't remember.
But it's kind of like that. I mean, a lot of DMs will tell me what they need to be run. Like, oh, during this game, I was going to do this, or like, oh, this is what happened, so carry on. I'm like, okay, cool. Like one DM says, like, hey, they're on a travel bit from A to B. All the blanks. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, get an owlbear companion because I said so, and there you go.
Yeah. So
I mean,
actually,
sometimes that's all that players need.
that's all they want most of the time. Not gonna lie, that and a good
You
flag.
get a baby owlbear because you kill all the owlbear's family. So
No, that's a
take care of this now.
terrifying little tyke right there.
Yeah, I know.
That's actually a pretty decent segue into if you were taking on, say, obviously in a D&D setting, you're taking on a story that somebody else has already created and is continuing, and the NPCs that you're taking on from them may or may not be the same NPC depending on the story that you're telling that evening. But if you were to take on, say, an established story like Supernatural, and you have to write for these characters, how would you take on the challenge of getting not only the voicing down right, because at that point there's already something there that everyone's hooked onto. How do you kind of prepare yourself to take on those characters' voices?
Yeah, Josh, how
Hope
do
I
you do
don't.
that? How do you do that, Josh?
I mean, I don't do that. However, fanfic is like a great tool to prepare for this. Sometimes it's
tell,
just
do
good
tell.
to like just practice other people's properties' voices, and getting into that is good for being flexible, I guess.
Is there a character voice that you've stepped into that you really enjoy writing as or for that would be recognizable for a more populous group? Is there a Destiny character that you've fanfic written before?
Oh, it's been a long time for me. How about you, Morgan?
Subtle. Subtle. Super subtle. Mic click. You hear the mic shut off. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Okay, we're actually not going to get an answer on that one. Okay.
I'm trying to think, but like all my NPCs are.
And
I haven't really
now
like.
it's time for a break.
Can we have a bio break, like 5 minutes, like just so I can come back to this question?
I'll tell you mine, Josh, if you tell me yours.
I'm good.
That's funny. Blue, have you done any sort of writing like that, or like stepped into another character?
No, I make a habit of not doing that.
Is there
anything?
a reason why, or?
I don't like it.
Okay.
It like kind of like what Josh was saying is like with his like overthinking characters. I already think like a lot about the character voice that I have running, so it's a weird form of like cognitive dissonance for me to try to take over another person's character, because I'm like the entire time I would basically be sitting there trying to figure out, is this, it would be, the entire thing is self-doubting. Like I don't like I wouldn't be able to write because I would be so concerned with doing the character quote unquote justice for their stuff. It would probably like impose on me a writer's block, basically. I mean, I think the easiest way is to say the cognitive dissonance, because I wouldn't be able to get into that character's headspace. Like that's why.
Sure.
Go for it.
But isn't that kind of the fun thing about stepping into a role, is that you are better learning that role in some ways. You're not necessarily taking over the exact copy per se, because obviously you can't necessarily, but you're going to have the beats or the stereotypes for that character be your guide. At least that's how I've done it when I've written for other characters.
Right. Yeah, and I like, so like there's this weird thing where like logically I understand what you're saying. That's like when I write, I really like playing like play by posts because I feel like I'm a little bit stronger with text based communication. So like with the way I write is I really try to, for lack of a better term, embody what I'm writing. That's why I can't do like parody. Like that's why I have a lot of respect for people who do parody, RP accounts, like what we were talking about a little bit with, the Destiny RP accounts. I cannot do that. Like that's not something all my characters that I've ever written are all original characters. Like I've never been able to take a character, like even when I run DM games and do NPCs, I actually generally will rewrite NPCs with my own versions of them. Like if they give you a cookie cutter NPC, for the most part, most of the ones that I've played that have significance have been rewritten by me, because I have to take them and I have to make them. I have to make sense of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Like if it's just like a 2D, goblin or whatever, no, I don't do that. But like if it's a character where the intent is that the character is going to be a larger part of the story, that character I can't just take, even with D&D and stuff, like I can't just take a cookie cutter character. Like it's very difficult for me to do that.
But there's a moment when you're looking at these characters and since you know their background, I'm going to use Zavala as an example, even though Zavala is not a character I've ever written for. But you know his history, you know his background, you know kind of it's what we do in the show where we break apart what his motives and his feelings and his emotional state that we can tell based off of the information we have. You can take that and kind of create your own miniature story knowing those beats and how he feels in that.
Correct. And I find that like character analysis I'm really good with, and I know it's a weird like hair split on that term. Like character analysis I find that I can do really well with stuff like that. But even that, like even creating a character, like I don't know, I again I logically I understand the point, like I do, but I can't, like my brain locks up when it comes down to that, because I just basically again I keep going into the understanding the motivation of not just what's being said but what's being done by that character at the time. And since I didn't develop that character, I feel like I don't have an insight into that character.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. It's almost as if you have too much respect for the writer to ever take on another character's shoes.
Yeah, I mean there is that. I would ascribe it more to, you know, like what Josh was saying about thinking too much about the character. Like I don't, because I get really bugged out when characters make uncharacteristic, like sudden changes, which is why I can't stay with TV shows for a long time, is because as soon as a writer changes, generally characters will, you know, follow suit. And like it bugs me. So like if I'm the one that's doing that, I'm like, it's like I am causing my own consternation at this you know, artistic form, which is yeah. Long answer for that.
No. Makes sense. Josh and Morgan, do you guys have any instances where you feel like you can or cannot step into another character? I know, Josh, we were kind of joking a little bit about writing fan fiction, but do you feel like you can jump into most characters, or are there certain characters that you would be like, nope, never going there?
I mean, for me, it's more just about familiarity with the character and how comfortable I am with that character.
Mhm.
I mean, I will go ahead and admit that I wrote Animorphs fanfic. Like that was the
Nice.
big thing
Oh,
that I was into
Tobias.
in middle school.
Did you write Tobias? Because
No, Rachel was a badass.
I mean, she was, but
Yeah,
Tobias
yes.
is really cool
Fuck
too.
Tobias.
I love
what?
Tobias. He was the heartthrob. You gotta love Tobias.
He was a bird.
He was a heartthrob. I liked him. He was sensitive. We were way
I knew I
too
liked you for
into
a
that.
reason, Green.
Mhm.
But so
He was
like,
a
especially with
bird.
Animorphs, like it was kind of freeing to find out, like when I got older, that like all of those books were actually pretty much ghostwritten,
Mhm.
and like is just this whole collection of different people writing these same characters.
Which
So I guess
actually
that
made
felt kind of
made it
freeing.
make so much more sense too.
Yeah, it does, because there was
Yeah.
not a continuous storyline going on,
Well,
really.
not even that, but the
Mhm.
style, like the style,
Right.
which like because I actually thought it was because they wrote from like was it 5 different points of view, but but as soon as I was like, oh, that makes so much more
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. But then it's the same thing with like comic books too. Like um the switch writers on what book and with what characters. And I guess
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I guess like when I was younger, like I had more of a tolerance for that kind of stuff. and now I have writers that I don't like.
Mhm.
But
It's not necessarily the same character that comes across at that point.
yeah, but still for me, like it still feels like a free thing that I could do if I wanted to.
Mhm.
Feels less of like this is a big thing that's so well established that I can't touch it.
Gotcha. Hmm.
So what fanfic did you write?
I write Petra. I write as Petra on Twitter for the most part. And she has had many shenanigans, and she's actually, I mean, you write as a fanfic writer, the character obviously takes on kind of different feelings, and I've tried really hard to stick to the events that are going on in Destiny at the time that I'm writing her. So when I first started it really had to do with the death of Cade and her role in the reef with Mara being gone and whatnot. And then it changed as Mara came back into the scene, and her role now that basically all the Guardians have stopped going to the Dreaming City, everything has affected how she reacts. Even though we haven't had any new dialogue from her in almost a year and a half now
Mm-hmm.
in game, she's continued to grow in my mind, and that's one of the more intricate ways I guess I interact with the game, is that I don't think about just the character dialogue that we have. I do the dangerous thing of thinking about, okay, what are they continuing to feel? Like
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with Callus now? And it kind of just helps you remember that there are these different characters out there that have things still going on. They're not just static.
But what is going on with Callus?
And also, what is this Twitter handle?
I actually haven't written on Twitter for her in a long time. Not seriously, at least. It's been like fun, silly stuff, but I've kind of moved away from Twitter and moved into Discord and more long format, because 140 characters or whatever it is now, 180, is
That's
just
Yeah,
not.
not long enough.
yeah,
It's
that
that
makes sense.
limiting of Zenika.
It is, but you also get really good at picking your words carefully
Mm-hmm.
to mean exactly what you want them to mean. Anyway,
I can see that. Yeah, it is. It is definitely a art form in and of itself.
Twitter or
Well, yes, Twitter in
RPing.
general. Yeah. Well, yes, yes, and yes.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter is an art form in and of itself that I will never understand because it's whatever. RPing is definitely an art form, but RPing on Twitter is in and of itself this like really interestingly weird art form. Like I really actually respect the people who can pull it off because, and there's a couple accounts on there that are really fun to follow.
Mhm. There's a Marisov account that I absolutely adore. She is a marvelous writer and does a very good job of bringing some humor to Mara without breaking the character, which is hard to do. Like, having some sort of snark in there that isn't necessarily demeaning like we get as a character in game, or as a guardian in game. We always get kind of more of that either somber tone
Mm-hmm.
from her or just a little bit of snark that's slightly degrading at the same time.
Speak.
Yes. Ghost not happy with her, but
Oh God,
she does
I
she
forgot
add
about that.
right? Oh my gosh, Ghost is just not happy. But you get the moments from good writers who can take that character and you put them in a slightly different setting and still manage to keep the voice, but flesh out a little bit more personality rather than just this 2D thing that you get in game. I find it super impressive. I can find you her Twitter. She's still fairly active. And somebody else.
What about you, Morgan?
I think it's really hard to top into somebody else's voice. I actually just got a voice acting role for this one. It's an actual play podcast, but they've got enough people where they actually are doing like side stories of the NPCs. I'm doing the voice for Big Millie, who runs the Funplex. And she used to be an ice trucker back down in the town of Revenant in Alaska, where the game takes place. And so, going on for like a year and a half now or so. And this NPC has been like rotating in and out of that game. And so, now I'm taking on the voice of this character. I'm like, she sound? And like she's like, oh, just strong and like no bullshit, like sort of character. And I'm just like, you want me to voice her? You sure? I don't, because it's always been the same. Keeper is the game facilitator for Monster of the Week. It's called the person's called a keeper instead of a dungeon master, and so it's been the same person running this character like as this NPC, and now hearing like giving voice to this character as someone else. I'm gonna screw this up so badly, like gonna be awful. But we actually were able to hear some of the pieces that we worked on today, and maybe I'm still self-conscious of my own voice because it's not my character, so it's not like really my voice technically, but
Isn't that a fun challenge though, or do you find that more draining than like a good challenge or like a good reward for it to create that kind of voice?
I say it is a challenge, but also it's frustrating because I don't want to screw it up for the other for that person. Like I'm just like, this isn't mine, so like if it was mine, I'd be like, whatever. This is what the voice they have now. I don't care. But now since I'm doing it for somebody else, I'm like, oh, it must be perfect. Oh no. Like when I was recording my lines, because whenever you do voice acting, apparently it's not like when you do like actual plays or anything like that where you're bouncing off emotions and feelings from one another. Do it by yourself, then you gotta just go with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, how do I get this emotion and like feeling? And so I think I did like 5 takes of my lines because I was just like, I'm sorry, editor. I think
that's the best way to do it though, especially if you're providing I call them dry dialogue back to the whoever's the producer, the sound tech, and it gives you a chance when you're recording multiple takes to at least give them options of, this is all the different variants I can see this character feeling in this moment. Like this is how she would go across. Pick the one that goes closest to what the other character was, like the actual voice actor or the one you're taking over for that moment. I would find that more comforting, I think.
It's just it's a lot, especially it's my first time ever doing voice acting stuff in general. So
I gotcha.
Just like, no, I must do this right. And then like we actually did a read through at first just so we can get a feel, like, at least all of us talk to each other at first, and then like just get a week read through of how we're all like gonna read it and stuff. I did a lot more of a Southern accent than I did for the actual show, and then I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe, and then decided just to nix the Southern accent, and then now like the guy who plays her brother kind of has a Southern accent. I was like, I wish we talked. I could have done it too. It's just like, oh.
I think it's just
a thing.
Yeah. I think at this point, since we're split down the middle on like taking on another person's character and voicing it being kind of a fun experience versus a challenging and slightly maybe scary experience. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good that there are both kinds of people able to not only step into those roles and kind of feel the empathy for those characters, not just on the A-B side, but actually kind of take on it and just be that AA side and feel it more like, unfortunately, like Heath Ledger. Or there are characters that I would never step into. I would never want to write for the Joker because you have so many different variables of Joker at this point, right? Like you have the Jack Nicholson, you're different actors for that when you're creating those voices. I don't know. I don't think I would like to step into some of those roles, villains in particular. It's real easy to go into
I guess that's the other
dark,
question
dark
too.
place
Is
with
like, do
that.
you find it easier to step into the role if the role is a hero or a villain? Like, do you find it? Because like, you know, the other thing for me, it's like when you talk about stepping into roles, it's like generally across the board, it doesn't matter if it's a hero or villain. It's because I can't lock down the, you know, the cognation of that particular character. But,
Mhm.
you know, like what you just said there is like, would it be easier for you to step into the role if it was a hero? I mean,
Certain types of
obviously you
villains,
are,
I
but
would have, yeah,
yeah.
certain types of villains I would have an easier time with.
Mm-hmm.
Villains that are more, this is going to be super stereotypical, manipulative women. I rather enjoy writing. But like, there's a character from a book series, the Cushion's Dart series, Melisande. I
Mm-hmm.
actually really enjoy writing her character because she's a smart,
Mm-hmm.
very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very manipulative woman and is able to create situations with long plays, kind of like a Mara character. I in some ways I see Mara as a villain type character, even though she's
I can
technically
see
on
the
our
argument
side.
for that. Yeah. Well, arguably, currently.
Right. But like I can more easily step into, I think, the characters that are duty bound rather than a quote unquote hero character. Because a lot of times heroes don't necessarily follow the rules or anything like that, and duty bound ones don't necessarily as well. They're just more, they have a excuse to act the way they do rather than just the noble way out.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, do you have any? You said you were pretty okay with writing just about any character?
Oh my
Is there?
god, I am so good at villains.
Yeah,
And this is why
What?
we
I
don't
had no
trust
idea
you.
why.
you're a bard.
You're a bard.
I don't see how that's related.
Of course you don't.
Is there a particular type of villain you like to write more than others?
Um, it's easier to like the intelligent manipulative villain is more fun. Like I don't know, I tried like I don't know, Power Rangers kind of bumbling villain,
Yeah, the
and like that
monster, the
was a
weak
bad
villain.
time. Yeah,
That was a
yeah,
bad time.
like that hurt my soul. Um, but other villains are way more fun.
I gotcha. Is there a particular, I guess you would call them hero types that you feel more comfortable writing, or do you like to, or are you that person who likes to write those gray Jedi characters that are supposedly in the middle, or the like our guardian characters?
Feel like I have a lot more like especially with writing, I have a lot more fun with the more like the people like if they're like side, the people who aren't really in the spotlight and are more like in the background.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's
yeah.
less responsibility and I can just do whatever I want.
Well,
Okay.
Josh, going down that, like am I allowed to talk about the project that you and my wife are working on?
I don't know. You need to talk to your wife about that.
All right. Well, anyways, that showcases that ability really well because some of
Wait,
my
wait. So which part is he writing?
well, they're it's
I know it's collaborative, but
yeah. So like I mean, that's I don't know how the
We
best
went
way to
to
explain it. But it's
yeah,
really
we went back and forth a lot.
mhm.
okay.
And it's done. Oh, man, you guys have done an amazing job with it. But like the character that is the third party member. Um, it's just like some of the best parts of that book is his character's reaction to things. I just love it, and it's like, and it showcases really, I think, what you just said there is like he's not. I mean, he is a primary character insofar as like some of the things, but in a lot of the ways, I do view him as not the main focus. Um, though he is my main focus because he's freaking hilarious, and I love him.
Like, not necessarily flavor text kind of character, but somebody who just rounds out the personalities of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
room
it's
group.
yeah. Uh, he, God, man, I don't want to talk
Yeah,
too much
like,
because I don't want to
he's-
spoil it, but it's
Yeah.
Like the character that I can use to like soften things a little and like pivot the action and like
I
just throw him into the background getting drunk while like serious things are happening.
so
So
he's Cade and a bard.
I mean, I
I'm-
don't know about.
I
He's
don't know if you're
yeah, basically kind
wrong.
of.
Yeah,
right, but like in the context of like the Vanguard group, if Ikor, Zavala, and Cade were doing something, Cade's the one in the background who, even though he's driving some of the storyline stuff, he's doing it from kind of that I'm not taking charge, but I'm gonna go do this anyway kind of
yeah,
thing.
that's very much this character. Yeah.
Okay.
But like the going to the dialogue, the like some of the quips that are provided, it reminds me a lot of like the court the official like court jester type thing where like you for the most part everyone ignores him, but then like there'll be like the one thing that he just like nails, and it's just like you're like, oh wait, you actually are paying attention like a lot more than people give you credit for. It's and that's that type of dialogue writing I really appreciate, and it's very well done.
Nice. That's awesome.
Because sometimes when you develop dialogue for NPCs, just to come all the way back around, well, it's really helpful to just let things sit for a while and like collect all the excellent quips that you wish you had said during the day and just throw them in later.
That's fair. Okay, so in this project or anything that you're writing in this style, are you going back and forth with the primary, like another person? Are you literally dialoguing back and forth like an RP post would be, with basically RP but a little bit more than just typical RP, or not just back and forth one line, but you're actually giving full scene and descriptive text on what's actually going on in the area?
It depends. I mean, I've tried that. Like I feel like it's helped a little bit more just collaboratively. Like it's helped to do my own thing and then let my collaborator go over it, and then vice versa, just to flesh things out
Mm-hmm.
on both sides. Like I feel like that also just process then
Mm-hmm.
trying to schedule out time to do like a play by post kind of format. Because plus with a play by post kind of format, like there tends to be a lot of extra um, that you don't necessarily want when you're like writing regular narrative.
Sure. Interesting.
Yeah, because I know, like, and I think, I always find it interesting looking at, just books in general, how if they've been collaboratively written, there are different strategies, obviously, there. And I know a really common one that I've seen actually a lot of people do is the whole trading chapters. Like one person will write one chapter, the other person writes the other chapter, and then they go back. Because, like, the writing portion of it is only half, or that's only a small part of the actual end project, because like you have to get it down, but then comes in the editing and making sure that it flows. And so I know a lot of times what they would do with the ones that I've kind of looked at behind the scenes is, whoever wrote the chapter, then the other person or the other people, however many authors you have running on it, but usually it's just two. But like the other person would edit it, and then
Right.
and then or they would write a different version of it, and they would go back and forth that way, and that way it also allows for a consistent voice, a consistent tone throughout the work. Because like if Josh and I were writing a book and he does chapter 1, 3, and 5, and I do 2, 4, and 6, then I would edit 1, 3, 5. He would edit 2, 4, 6.
Right.
And
But
then eventually you
even
do get a uniform.
right, but even then there are examples of, and I'm gonna get so much flack for this, and I honestly don't care because it is the most basic book, trilogy, whatever it is at this point, that could actually say that the back and forth doesn't necessarily have to have similar voice, is when you have each chapter be a separate character's point of view
Mm-hmm.
of
Yep.
maybe the same event or a different event. And the one I'm thinking of is Twilight in the last book. I think it was the fourth book or whatever. The last book, you're switching perspectives so very much, and it's a terrible series that I did read back in college because back then,
I only
whatever.
use it as fire tender. Um,
Mm.
but I will say that that is not an uncommon approach, even for Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time was not collaboratively written. It was a mostly single person, until the main author Robert Jordan died.
And then
But
Brandon
like,
Sanderson took over.
yeah, and but even then, the way he wrote that book, each character was or each chapter was its own character brought to the voice. And so like he actually, and that's actually one of the reasons I really like that book, is because each chapter really does have in its own way a unique voice.
Hmm.
He still has the same, like, it's still the same style, if you will, but he has done a really good job with making each chapter unique, or each character unique. And I think the other thing is, like, if you were going to do something like that with a collaboration, what I
Hmm.
would probably, for what it's worth, I would think would make sense is to do like, okay, yeah, but author A always will write for this character, because then at
Hmm.
least you have a consistency there. Whereas if you're, flipping back and forth, it's, I think it would introduce too many areas of potential discord.
Makes sense. That makes me really smile that you say that, because to the listeners and to Josh and Morgan here, I may have semi-forced Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings
Mm-hmm.
series onto Blue, and
It
it's
took
the
a
very,
while. I don't know
yeah,
how many years it took her, but
about a year, of bringing it up every 3 months or so.
the characters are interesting. I will give you that. And it's not like,
Hmm.
it's, I don't know, like it's his I guess my bone to pick with him, if you can even say that, is that I was very the way I was introduced to him was because of the whole thing with Robert Jordan. And so that was a series that was near and dear. And so like it's not like there was no hard feelings at all. It was more of just like, oh, I really like this thing. And then they're like, yeah, this person's going to finish it. And it's like, okay, I know the situation, all that. But at the same time, it was like, but I don't want someone else to finish it. I want,
Right,
so.
that's fair. I got
But yeah,
nothing.
I got nothing left to say on the episodes about what to say.
And join in on that because I don't really write.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was just enjoying listening to y'all.
No worries. You've had like a lot of really good perspectives when it comes to that improvisation and acting, because even though you may not be writing in the traditional sense of like what Josh is doing, you're still creating that scene and that expose, I guess, on what's going on, especially while DMing. So your perspective is very much so a part of that same conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks.
Nice.
I would agree with that statement. Actually, I mean, like, to me, actually, doing the improv thing is more of a challenge than writing, which is not to say that writing is not a challenge, but I'm much more in the wheelhouse of being able to sit down and think, okay, what do I want them to say? Makes more sense to me.
When you're dealing with other people, you don't really you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth, so you just gotta
That's fair, yeah.
go with it.
Which is why it's very uncomfortable for me, because I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't like
Then
that.
why? But we do a podcast, and we've
Yeah,
had
but-
Justin on, and Willie.
Who? Justin?
Yeah. Right.
Who's that person? No. Yeah.
Just
He's gonna play that
Loki
bard
to
in
your
that D&D
floor.
game.
Oh my god.
I still wanna make this a thing. It could just be a one shot. I don't care. I just want to watch Justin's mind explode as he gets to act out whatever he wants to do, and just completely take whatever we were doing and turn it into a dragon hunt or something. Just
As a squirrel bard.
as a squirrel
You know,
bard.
you
with a
say
needled
that
sword.
jokingly. You say that jokingly.
I'm putting
Do
it out
not-
into the universe because I want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, oh my god. It's one of those things where it's like, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being very careful.
There's a little bit of that evil, like, manipulative writing.
No,
voice
we
coming
always
out,
trust.
What are you
We
talking
always
about?
trust Josh's characters.
Blue, what do you think? Are we
Let's
good?
do shout outs.
Cool.
Morgan, what about you for this episode version? Gosh.
This version of the
This version.
podcast, you like release one or two, you're like, I'm like, no. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Serena Bezos. You can find me on my podcast with Red Death or Powered by the Players. Do a lot of game stuff.
Josh, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Informage, or also as ASMR, the ASMR Whisper Bard.
That is amazing. I love that.
I do too.
So, Whisper Bard.
I do too.
Just,
Josh is
You
trying to
just
been
have-
pushing that character on us for the longest, and
I love this concept. It's so great. This
I hate ASMR though, so I'm just like cringing the whole time.
One day it's gonna
Get up
it'll be so good.
out of my ears.
Get out of my
He's
ear.
He's just got a feather he takes around and just basically runs his finger over it to make just this quietest whisper of a sound. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
What was the question? Oh, I also have posts on the Lore Network. And also shout out to one of my favorite Destiny Twitter handles is D2 Lost Light, because of course.
Yeah, you want to talk about somebody moonlighting as a character.
What?
Blue?
What?
Are you gonna ever
Green,
let
what
out
about-
your
what about
little
your- what about your
dirty
shout-outs?
little secret?
What about your shout outs, Green?
My shout out goes to I was recently on Man at Arms podcast, Destiny Unfiltered, this last week, where myself, Boop Cannon, and Wicked Jester, along with Man at Arms and On Air PC, all talked about the current state of Destiny. There was a lot of cursing. There was a lot of Titan love. maybe a few held tongues at times. Go listen to it. Or even better yet, go watch it on the recap on YouTube. Blue? Or I
Just
mean,
again,
D2 light, little light?
oh my god! And just again wanted to wish my little light happy birthday tomorrow. So, but yeah, that's really, and then just a big shout out to everyone who is playing support role for during this quarantine time. Namely my wife. She has done amazing at keeping everybody sane and well fed and just everything moving. I think it can't be said enough when that stuff happens. That's usually a lot of times people take that for granted, but it is really appreciated. But yep, that's what I got, and I just want to say thank you all for your time, and remember, with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been in the Destiny Bazaar recently?
Do what now?
The Destiny Bazaar in the tower by Ikora and Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
Where you sell turnips.
Yep, where you sell Destiny turnips. That's where all the what is it, the worm spore?
Worm spore? No, the worm spore is getting smuggled down into the city still.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they're trying to get it they're just trying to sell it up here to Hawthorne. She's the black market woman on this.
No,
That's my new theory.
is that your new theory?
That's why she's always high and constantly asking
You can't trust
about
people with
things.
birds.
Right? Tobias, god damn it. No, in the bazaar right now, there's like Hunter, Warlock, Titan. I don't know. They're kind of banner things. They're more like Chinese
the little
lanterns.
fan things. The fan
yeah,
things?
with the fans at the top, and there's
Yeah.
a each class.
Yeah,
I swear, they're actually like lowest to highest in the same way that the actual flags are in the bazaar, but not as dramatically.
You just can't get away, can you?
I can't fucking get away from this goddamn competition that is literally a glorified participation award. Like, Titans are fighting for a participation award.
I mean, what else are they ever gonna get?
Exactly.
I was just gonna let someone else make that comment. Where he's like, I'm like,
oh my gosh. I'm gonna trigger so many people. I'm glad this is not on the podcast.
yeah. As soon as they came out with that, I was reading it. I was like, yeah. It makes
it super apparent in the TWAB that it is literally a participation award.
Well, my other problem with it is that I know so many people who have made the blatant case that it is so much easier to get those things as a Titan. Like,
right, like, okay, so I mean, get there are certain things on the Titan that make the daily bounties, not the big, like the Forge, Crucible, Strikes,
right,
those bounties, but the bounties you get from Eva that credit towards the 1 gold medal you can get for completing bounties.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Titans have a slightly easier time, and that the other classes have had issues with either certain things proccing or
that's what I was gonna say.
Very
it's like,
unclear of what these certain things are needing to be done, because there's one that I just finished today that
with
is
the Night Stalker.
Yeah, with the smoke grenade. You're using the melee
so smoke
ability.
grenade. No, I haven't. I tried. I heard about the smoke grenade. The final, like, for me, whatever, the final thing was I wasn't really that concerned with it to begin with, because I looked at the stuff that they were offering and I was like, I don't feel anything towards any of that. Like, sometimes if there's like a shader or something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll grind for that or whatever. But like the armor and like I apologize if this offends people, but that armor looks horrible. The shells, I can't. I'm not a fan of these like stupid aesthetic shells that make no sense.
Like the bunny-eared
I can't.
ghost and stuff like that.
Like the ghost with the inflatable tube or whatever. I'm like, that doesn't like. I get it. I do. I understand it. But for me, it kind of breaks the immersion because I'm like, no. The whole point is that like it's this the robotic thing where it's like the ghost shell is whatever. Like I don't. Anyways, I can go forever for that whole thing.
Right.
But like the whole thing for me was the final thing was I think I picked up one the other day, and it was like kill 5 people with your tether or kill 5 tethered people when you're running Mobius quiver.
That one
and
was the hardest one for me to do.
The fuck does that mean? Like, because you don't really tether people. Like you can you can, but that's not really. I don't know. I've never really watched people with Mobius quiver. Usually, you punch people with the arrows. Like you usually hit them. And it was
Mobius quiver is like you use it to take out enemies a lot of times one by one, and that is one of the ways you do it. But the way that is driving everybody crazy, and I've heard the best way to do this is on escalation protocol during the thrall wave, is you tether one spot and let 5 enemies gather to that tether and then use your other tethers to destroy them is how he's gotten it to proc. And I'm like, that is complicated as fuck and not explained at all.
No, not at all. Like, and that's the thing is like, well, and see that was my thing is, so I did it, and the problem with Mobius quiver is it kind of probably what you're kind of alluding to is like, by the time I get my weapon out to kill the tethered people, the tether is gone.
No. Not you don't use the weapons like a.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying is like I'm like, what? Like this is complicated and then I managed to do like one time I swear I must have only tethered 4 out of the 5 things because then it didn't proc. And I was like all right, fine, whatever, and I just deleted it. But I was just like I'm like this is too much frustration for something that I don't care about.
Yeah.
So I just went back to doing the weeklies things that I normally do. Actually, a 6. Oh Jesus.
I would agree, Dead at Arms. I would have much rather had some sort of event type location where maybe not 6v6v6. What if we did a 3v3v3? Fire teams against fire teams of different classes, and you're queuing in on a fire team of hunters, another one's queuing in on a fire team of warlocks, and another on titans, and you just
go back to, was it Supremacy?
God, I hate.
No, but wasn't Supremacy the one with the
crest?
The crest? I mean, this seems like a perfect thing for Supremacy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I hated Supremacy. I never played it, but to me, this is
still here. By the way, you can still play it in D2.
No, I know, but it's not one of the rotating. Is it a rotation?
It is.
It's in the classic mix.
Oh, classic.
And it is also on the top rotation as well. I think it actually was either last week or this week.
I think it's this week.
Because like Supremacy always made me think of something like this. Like this definitely is more flavor. I mean, I hated Supremacy, but it is what it is. But like I could
asking for Rift back. Like I would have loved to have Rift back.
I find it and that's just me finding it absolutely hilarious. But this highlights yet again something that a lot of people give Bungie credit for from their Halo days that actually didn't come from Bungie, and that is all the crazy PvP shenanigan maps. Those are all fan created.
Right, I remember from Forge. And
Halo. like Griffball and everybody. Griffball was it was a joke game that they made up.
RVB, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Rooster Teeth kind of joked about it, but like, and then they kind of made it with Forge, and then they made a custom game specifically to it. But like they backdoored their way into making it, and then it was after the community went crazy about it because of Red versus Blue that they kind of officially brought it on. But like I think it's so funny because that's what a lot of people loved about Halo was with the PvP was all the like rockets and you know all the crazy stuff there, and you just don't like. There's not any of that in Destiny right now, and I think that I mean like Mayhem that's why I love Mayhem, to be honest, even though I always forget that I have my super, but like I love the quicker pace. Like it's just so I can't do the Scorch Cannon. Scorch Cannons are I can't figure them out. Like I want to hold them like because I'm so used to using them in PvE where if you hold it, you know, it gets more powerful, and I always end up just getting blown apart.
But no, here's what you can do with that. If that Scorch map always seems to be that open Nessus space, right? You can use that PvE perk and use it more like a trip mine grenade.
Yeah.
And
that's what I usually end up doing is like putting it on a corner or something. No. I was surprised. I was surprised from like a tonal point too. I was fully expecting like, you know, something along the lines of like faction wars or something like that, which still I still hold to what would be a really fun thing with faction rallies is to do like do kind of what they're doing here with the Laurels, but do it with factions.
Yeah.
And do like, I mean, it would be the same thing, participation based, but at least then it would, you know, I don't know, like it would make a little more sense in my head, and it would be a little
pitting
bit
the classes against each other.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know why that is actually. Now that I'm thinking about that,
because people would be fairly even across, and joining a group like, besides having the disparity in the amount of hunters, right?
Well, and I think maybe Titans. It also may be because it gives the illusion of choice back to us as players, because like you can go into a faction rally and say I'm a hunter but I want to play New Monarchy, or I want to play Future War Call, whereas like right now it's like you're a hunter, you're gonna play as a hunter. It's like, but I don't what like
You know, that makes me wonder if back in faction rallies when they were doing that, if the reason why New Monarchy won so much is because the population in New Monarchy was high and they hadn't accounted for it.
Well, I would say yeah, because that's one of the reasons that Dead Orbit won the very first one. In D1 and D2. Graviton Lance in D2, and then in D1 it was because of Hung Jury. Everyone joined Dead Orbit to get Hung Jury, that first faction, one of the first faction rallies, because it had triple tap and I want to say it was Dragonfly. It had something like, it was a really good combo roll that you could only get through the faction roll or the faction rally. And so everyone, plus the shaders were actually decent in D1. But that Hung Jury was, because that was the same thing. Dead Orbit, the one that they had the Hung Jury on, Dead Orbit steamrolled everybody. But then as soon as that round was gone, it actually then was it Future War Cult won them after that?
Future War Cult won more in D1. New Monarchy, and I think
that was because of shaders, to be honest.
Probably.
Because Future War Cult had some pretty good shaders.
So Triggerblade, the reason why I want Rift back is because it's the only thing in Destiny's history that is anywhere near close to a capture the flag type game versus capture the point where you're capturing a zone rather than trying to deliver a payload type thing. That's what I miss having that. Sorry, Morgan, Josh, Blue's messaging you guys about it right now.
All I know is I'm really bored in quarantine, and I really miss the Olympics. So I do want a Vanity Ghost.
I have
my
both
problem. So my problem
far.
with the Vanity Ghost is actually like I don't have a problem with Vanity Ghosts. Like I think that's fine. My problem with these in particular short of the hunter one, and it's not because of the class, it's because of the design.
He doesn't like the fact that it's not attached to the ghost
It's
shell.
not attached at all.
The physics don't make sense to him.
It's like, I'm like, what is going? What?
Blue, it's a magic robot. Does it fucking matter?
It does. Because
I don't understand.
So each class in Destiny is represented by an animal as well as a symbol.
Which also has changed.
It has changed over the years. But Titans are lions, Warlocks are phoenixes, or phoenixi,
Pigeons.
I don't know. They're phoenix.
Phoenix was said first. I'm gonna take that.
I think it actually is a pigeon now that I'm looking at it after looking at the Saint
It's
14
definitely an eagle,
It's a bird. Tobias. Just
not a pigeon.
That's still funny as shit though. But and hunters are snakes. And the ghost shells.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that I'll take that. A
I'll
ghost
take it.
is a very compacted ball like robot that has an eye, like a sensor type thing, and then there's always some sort of decorative thing on the outside to help with quote unquote aerodynamics or whatever it's being used for directional purposes. The ones for this event have the animals attached to that little ball. And the only one that's actually attached is the snake. Because it's wrapped around the ball. The bird is floating there next to the ball.
And arguably, with the other ones, I'm now thinking that the snake probably isn't actually attached.
Space magic.
It's still very funny, though.
Definite space magic.
I picked up the Titan one today. I had got my Hunter one last week, picked up the Titan, and then next week I will get my Warlock one. Because I'm going to do this on my Hunter, and I don't generally run my other characters as much, and I really just don't want to pull out a different character, per se. Blue, you were so angry about it, too.
My problem is it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm like, which is also my problem with the other vanity ones was, I'm like, that doesn't, like, whatever.
I mean, my current ghost has a Saint Mohawk, so
yeah, yeah, don't get me started on their recent ghost shells.
Whatever.
Like some of their more recent ones, it's like you can't have a lion rampant shove a ball into it and
ugly
still have it be
shells
a
from
lion
forges.
How many shells did you get from your forges today?
Oh my god!
Fucking shit! God.
And they're so ugly.
Yeah.
So ugly.
I don't know why they turned the shell RNG up on forges to 100% every goddamn time. But fucking Christ, my postmaster is filled with ghost. Why?
You want to talk about someone who gets bent out of shape about something? Yeah, this stupid fucking rabbit ear ghost bugs me.
The ladybug ghost is cute.
That's the one I have.
Is it really?
Yeah, ladylike shell. I like that one.
There are some cute ghosts.
There are some. I mean, there are some good ones. Like the what is it? The one that cracks me up all the time is the one that's the little space rover.
Mm-hmm.
That one's funny.
I think one of my favorite random designs that they did for not necessarily the ghost, but for the sparrow is the John Deere tractor mower. I have to say, I appreciate that as coming from the Midwest and growing up on a farm. I appreciate seeing another goddamn fucking John Deere tractor in the game. Why?
The best part is the videos of people. Well, I think you did it too, where they're just driving back and forth slowly. They're like, we're mowing the yard.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because the ladylike shell, that was, what was that? That was Revelry? Back
So
last year?
yeah, yes, it was it was the spring event last year.
I forgot about
Did you
this one.
the
This is
seventh
another one.
seraph? The Rasputin Sparrow is a John Deere tractor. It's a very mean, like beefy looking John Deere tractor with teeth, but it's a John Deere tractor.
I just found this subreddit where they've taken all the ghost shells and they've made their own versions of them.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh my god, it's Manchop. Manpamp?
No, it's
Same.
Geodude.
Oh, Geodude? That makes sense.
It's the buff shell. Yeah, the Ghost Rider bike. Okay, here's another weird like bone to pick is the Guardian Games jump ship needs to be the Sparrow, not
Which
the jump
one?
ship. The one that looks like a fucking bobsled.
That doesn't even make sense from a design factor if they're emulating the Summer Olympics, but I guess Winter Olympics?
Well, it's not really a bobsled. It's like
Cool Runnings was a very popular movie.
That's true. Cue the rhythm. Cue the beat. Yeah, Team Spirit is the name of that ship you're talking about, Blue.
Yeah.
I kind of like
it's
it. 'Cause
got like it's like one of the ones where it's like, okay, this is basically where you sit. Oh wait, no, that's a jump ship. I was so confused when I first saw it. I was like, what?
but
What?
it's a play off of the Palisade. It's the Awoken ship turned up to 11. It's just been they straightened the fins out instead of
No.
having them angled out. That's what it is. That is exactly what that ship design is. It's just a play off of the Awoken ship, the darts.
I'm gonna have to look this up. What is it? Team Spirit?
Mm-hmm. They literally took the angle of the fins that are pointing forward on this, and then they took the ones that were pointing at an angle out and turned them forward.
Oh no. That's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh really?
Hang on.
Victory Lap? No, that's an actual Sparrow.
That one.
I'm gonna head out, so
All right. Morgan's like, I've had my fill.
I try to keep up, but I don't know. But oh, fun.
Thanks,
Later,
Morgan.
Morgan.
All right, bye.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
for having me
night.
on. You too. Good night. Bye.
Buddy
That's
joined me.
Oh yeah, the almost mighty. Oh my god, that ghost shell. Like, I want to be upset by it, but it's you notice that it's actual rulers.
Is that a real thing?
That is a real thing. That is an actual exotic shell.
Oh,
What is it called?
Almost mighty shell.
What season is it for last season?
No, I think it was this season.
Equipment.
I fucking love it. It's the best part is it's masking tape and two rulers.
Yeah, that's real sad. It has fins. It has fins glued
It's
on,
for
taped
ghosts
onto
who have
it
delusions
with
of
athletic tape.
grandeur.
That's not even masking tape. That's athletic tape. That's freaking Shax's workout tape that he had just
It's a
thrown to the
Titan-
side, and the
Titan
shell
made it.
decided it was going to be cute. Did it?
It's a Titan
No,
project.
I don't think a Titan made it. I think that literally the ghost got really bored, was down in Zavala's office for some stupid meeting or whatever.
He was listening to the
Huh.
Shaxercise.
Right, he was working out, he was doing the Shaxercise, found some rulers because Zavala apparently needs 2 rulers in his desk, not just one. Took those rulers and went,
my.
he's got a
I
lot
have
to
a
measure.
hat. Whoa, I did not even go there. That is impressive. Damn. Damn.
It's the shoulder pads.
It's the shoulder
With the
pads.
right shader, it's electric tape. Oh, that's even better.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that shell is like one of the ones that I'm like, I really want to be upset, but I also can't help but laugh my ass off every time it comes up.
Do you see the constricting shell?
Yeah, that was the original version of the Guardian game Hunter Shell. Did you see
Why?
Anon's picture where he took the Spider-Man put the constricting shell and the Guardian game shell for the Hunter? They're like, "Hey, you're me."
A Spider-Man?
Yeah. Oh,
I did not see this. I didn't see this.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It was It was whenever they first came out.
That ghost has to be one of the thespians from Ghost Community Theater. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God.
He's just acting.
Do you think that's? You don't think that's
Peach?
Dee Dee?
No, it wouldn't be Peach. Peach is in a different thing.
No, Peach
Dee
is
Dee?
the.
Oh,
Do you think
God.
that's Dee Dee? Dee
That
Dee
would
and
be
Marcus.
amazing. Dee Dee, you know Marcus would make a better shell than that.
That's true, actually.
But if Dee Dee tried to make it by herself, maybe she's trying to emulate it, or Marcus has just totally written off this whole theater bit that she's trying to do, and just...
Why? Why? Oh my! I just love Zavala's review or Shax's review. Does it have to be so sexually charged?
Was that for the Almost Mighty show?
What?
No,
where's
that was
at?
the Ghost Community Theater. Shax's review of it was like,
I forgot.
oh my God, where is this thing? But it was like, it was exactly actually what I was thinking when I saw the Hunter shell. I was like, wait, that's the Constrictor shell. And then I opened Twitter and Anon had posted this. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one.
The shaded shell. Nucleus shell? Where is are these just shells we have to buy? Where are these
What?
coming from? Like the
Which one?
nucleus shell and the constricting
Oh, the
shell and...
I think they were for Eververse.
I kind of like the nucleus one.
Yeah, the Nucleus one is another one that I'm like, if I look at it too much, though, I get upset for the same reason that I don't like this one, the Guardian Games one, because they have floating bits.
But that one at least kind of makes sense because it almost looks like it has magnets there to make that work.
Yeah, it makes me think of
Space Magic.
What's his face from Overwatch?
Zenyatta.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Anon posts a lot.
Yes, he does. The lantern shell kind of bugs me more than I think the floaty shells do.
I don't like the lantern shell, but yeah.
I like the eye on the lantern shell.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that Mercurian eye. Jesus. Orb Weaver shell? Why is it one of the spiky boys from the Tinkled Shore?
That one.
Why do we have Sonic the Hedgehog meets way too much electricity? So weird. That is also true. Neo has a good point to just counterpoint your distaste for the ghosty shells with the floaties. Every ghost shell has floaties because whenever the ghost does the resurrection thing,
I realize this. It's just me being like aesthetically picky. I also just I really like the original ghost shell. Like,
right, like the one that actually makes sense aerodynamically.
I mean, well, yeah, there's that one, like the generalist shell, like the original generalist shell. The other thing was like the I'm kind of sad because like they had Oh my god! What the fuck is that?
That is
That's like a
amazing.
lobster fight. It's a lobster fight shell.
That is amazing. So, people in live chat, since Blue doesn't have his screen on for that, it is a. It looks like the EDC ghost, the one with the camouflage, with two pocket. They're not even pocket knives. They're like
little
hunting
mini
knives,
Bowie knives.
duct taped to two of the fins, so it looks like it's pointing forward. Like oh my god, that's Anon's.
That's Anon's, yeah. Because that's the Spider-Man thing where he like runs into himself and he's like, you! And he's like, you! I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like the snake woke up.
So, did you see the Seraph shell? The Seraph shell actually doesn't have an eye.
Seraph shell.
It's in this season. Top row, like third over. Second over, I guess, rather. It's in the middle.
Oh yeah, it's got like the weird closey bit.
It looks almost like not the Crusade cross, but like that.
That's a Jerusalem cross.
Mm-hmm.
That actually is a very similar to the design of the Jerusalem cross because it's got the 4 quarters.
Right. Also, there's an animal on these. Which one? What is that? Is it a bird of some sort?
The helm?
With the seraph,
it's probably most likely an eagle. If it's keeping with the motif of seraphs, it's going to be like probably an eagle or another bird, a large bird of prey.
Okay. I really freaking hope they drop these stuff on. I bet they're not going to drop it until after this event, but this stuff on Fall Winter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so ready to get that story started.
The PS1 shell, I swear to fucking God, I can't not see Portal.
So the Clovis 241 shell is a Polly Pocket.
What?
Yeah.
Clovis 241.
Yeah, it's CLVS.
Oh yeah,
241.
Yeah,
it's a Polly Pocket.
Jesus Christ! It also is. It's like the Sisyphon artifact, or the Sisyphus artifact from D1, which was the minion ring.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. I don't like the cam nav shell. That one actually annoys me.
The cam nav shell.
Do you not have Destiny open, or are you just looking them up?
I'm looking them up right now. Oh, yeah. The one that looks like a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It reminds me of the
like a
the
Call
Bluetooth,
of Duty helmet.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of the Bluetooth, the boombox, the rugged boom boxes that you can get. It's even got the little handlebars on it.
Blue. Oh my gosh, it's literally like an all-purpose thing. There's markings for the compass, and then the compass head on the eye itself. It's a multi-purpose knife kind of thing.
That's like the old Frontier shell.
Mm-hmm.
Did they seriously release Constricting and Rival Hunter in the same season? Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yep. They were both season 10.
Did the other classes not get a quote-unquote normal exotic shell?
No, there was not another one for the lion or the...
That's interesting.
I don't necessarily think the constricting
It
shell
is. If you look at it, it's got the hunter logo
Oh,
on
it
its
does have.
head.
That is weird. It's even on the back of the ball.
Yeah. Actually, the ones that confuse me are the ones that actually actively change the the cam shaft. That makes sense.
There's just no Titan marks on it though.
Yeah, unless it's not on. Is there? Are you on? You're on Destiny. Is there one on the back of it?
Nope, looked for it. There's also not necessarily one for the warlocks either, unless the warlocks are the one with the weird
did the one.
pocket.
No, they might have. But they also did Ikora's ghost shell.
Oh, he's saying the match associated sparrows. And gear.
The ball one is warlocks. Which one?
Okay. Urban Commander is the one that matches with the weird compass one. A Moderate Splendor looks like the one that would match the Constricted Ghost.
Oh, okay. The Nucleus shell is the warlock.
Lunatics Legacy. I love that frickin' sparrow. Did you see this?
Which one?
Go into... Well, okay, it's called Lunatics Legacy, since you're not in Destiny at the moment.
Lunatics Legacy Sparrow?
Mm-hmm. It is
wow.
That is an actual sparrow.
Wait, hang on, which I have different...
It's a turbine.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is the lore on this one, or the flavor text is like, can you do that? Yeah, but what?
You know you can't write that into space, right? Amanda Holiday. Let's see. It's Blockbuster. Blockbuster looks like something from Star Wars, but instead of having the little tiny guns on the sides, it has fighter jet missiles.
You said Blockbuster?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that
yeah.
brown camo.
Yeah. The block, yeah. That looks like the speeder bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I do like the sparrows. I like the function and the aesthetics of the sparrows.
Like, just overall, the design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a Jade Rabbit marked sparrow. That is the lewdest called sparrow I've ever seen. Magnetron Thrust. It is a bunny. This is literally an adult toy sparrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Bungie just put out a dildo sparrow.
What is it called?
Magnetron Thrust.
As soon as you said that, makes
And the flavor text is living on a prayer and the laws of magnetism. Oh my god.
It's all curvy.
Yeah, so you can't necessarily see it from that angle, but there is a tiny jade rabbit symbol behind the hand thrusters. Like, you see where the thrusters are for where your hands go when you're laying down on the sparrow, with the red little bit. That's where that tiny bunny is. Which is also...
Is that where that tiny bunny is?
I mean, depending on what time of day it is, for certain women it may not be where that certain bunny is. Who knows what Guardians use this for? Maybe just an Exo's best friend.
Oh, the 4 degrees of separation. I forgot about that one. I like that one.
Should get that to wear with to use with my Fellwinter helm.
Has the Fellwinter helm entry dropped yet? Has the
No.
lore entry on that dropped yet? Okay.
The lore entry
Oh,
is
no.
in Ishtar in the API, and I
Okay,
think
so I'm
everyone
allowed to
can
talk
see
about it?
it. I think so. I'm pretty sure it's in there because it's an exotic forum. Or
Right,
is
but
it a... Yeah.
hang on, let me double check.
Check. Just look in your... Well, yeah, you... I'm not going to look in game yet.
Yeah, okay, it's there.
Okay.
What the Traveler Forsaken hell is that?
Are you looking at the...
The entry for it?
Oh...
For Fellwinter's Helm.
Yeah, with the...
Scory's response is like, what the
I just
fuck
like...
is that?
Was it Aphrodite
Yeah,
that walks
Aphrodite, yeah.
around?
It's like, first rule, no armor modifications.
Yep.
Take that thing off.
No chill. I wonder what happened. I really wish they would dive into her story a little more. And I know they're not going to most likely, but what happened with the Iron Lords that changed Aphrodite's mind to draw her not into the business of protecting and doing whatever it costs to protect, but to be more pacifist?
Well, they kind of mentioned that in, was it Constellations?
Did they?
Yeah, hang on, let me pull it up real quick. Because she had a really close connection with the speaker. Yeah, searching. I'm trying to remember.
I see where it's at.
Yeah, she says seems to me that a guardian should have more ways of marking this world than with a gun. Hundreds of years of pointing and shooting. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to find a different way.
She just changed her mind.
Yeah, I think she just got tired, basically. Which, I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
Reasonably
but
so.
the other thing is like she was the one who convinced the speaker to come to the city.
Yep.
The Jensen relic. God, I forgot about that shell. Harper shell. Oh my gosh, that was a rough mission.
What was?
Harper's. I think it was Captain Harper for failsafe. Your ghost gets a shell that's a harpy because that was the thing where they thought that the captain was downloaded into the harpy and you had to go and chase down the thing and all that stuff. That was a mission where you like actually got to see some depth in Failsafe's character. She grew a bit in her character up there with when we got her trapped in the Vex network for like 10 minutes or something, and she's like, that was like a century. Ghost is like, oh no, I'm so sorry. It's like, don't worry, I will never forget. Like, oh god.
She is one character that I know they could have gone that direction of her being super, super important, but I'm kind of glad they haven't.
Yeah, she has the she could have also very dangerous.
Dark. Yeah.
Davy. It does bug me that the gilded shell has a red eye. I know it's not intended to, because it's supposed to be a heart, but still, when you're not looking very closely, I'm like, no. Where the one? There was one that had. I do find it interesting how there is every now and then you have a ghost shell that changes the eye. Like the Kit Bash shell changes it.
The Mercury one, the one for the Seven Seraphs.
Well, the Seven Seraphs covers it, but like the little
Right,
like
but
actually
the
changes.
LED. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a
just
few
the
that do that. There's
well
one
the
this season that does it.
chiropter. I don't even know what the fuck that is. It's probably a little bat, but it changes it to yellow. Is there one this season that does it?
I think so. Let me.
Bursting Wisdom changes it to green. Clovis 241
Hmm.
changes it to I don't know what the fuck that is. A color ball. There was another one I thought I saw that like actually completely changed it. I'm trying to find it right now. The Clovis shell is a popsicle. You're not wrong. The sugary shell, yeah, that covers it.
9 lives shell.
The which one?
9 lives.
Is that the cat one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I'm gonna get to that one here in a second. The Winter View and the Tyrant Shell also cover the eye green.
What does?
The Winter View. I think he's just stuck in the little snow globe. The Tyrant Shell is the looks like a Siva cluster, or it's a Warmind cluster, but it's a completely enclosed, if I remember right.
Interesting. Okay, I uploaded a better picture of the magnetron thrust, where you can see it for all its glory.
Oh no, where did you upload it?
It's going to Twitter right now.
In all its glory.
Hmm.
That's always a dangerous. Agnora Raider looks like it changes. Oh, Agnora Raider changes it to the dot matrix. I'm just curious, like, if there's justification on what changes it and what doesn't, other than just aesthetics. Blue Sky looks like it changes it too. Yep, Blue Sky does the same thing with the dot matrix. Because like it was a big deal when Drifter's ghost was revealed to have a red eye. But now we're seeing quite a few. Color Theory does the dot matrix change too. So does Cordial Dialogue. Man, a lot of them in Forsaken started changing the eye. Freya. I'm hoping I'm getting to the Nine Tails here shortly. Is it a legendary shell, Josh?
I don't know.
The Shank shell is orange. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh
I think
my
that
goodness.
Orchid needs to be sure to get the open Orchid and the Orchid shell.
If there
Just
was
saying.
ever to be an otter shell, should
Oh
get
my
that one.
god, she would probably kill whatever stood in her way to get that.
100 times over.
Riveted
Oh, man.
Majesty does similar to the eye that the Clovis 241 does, and same with Shadow of the Earth. Skewed Orbit looks like I think that's a dot matrix again. Yep, that's the same. Sunseeker. God, there's more than I thought. Spectral circuit. Haven't gotten to the night. Where is the fucking...
Here you go, Blue.
It's just, it's curved in all the right places. I don't know what the problem is.
There's not a problem, I'm sure, for many women with that one. Oh my god, I'm gonna do this. She's gonna hate and love me for it.
Set thruster speed to max. I want to pat that dev on the back.
She's gonna be so mad at me, but probably laugh her ass off.
Oh, I like that GIF that you have for the Go Live thing.
Yeah, that was just a random live search engine gift.
Also, what did you do?
I'm getting ready to. She's gonna fucking kill me. In the most amazing way possible.
Wishmaker Shell also changes the eye. Was the 9 lives though? Was that a Destiny 2?
Yeah, it might have just been one of their
Nope,
Halloween ones.
It was Halloween, yeah. I must have completely walked over that one. Expand it. Go.
My ass. I think she's asleep right now, so I'm safe for at least a little while. Oh my goodness.
There, I responded to you.
I saw. She'll love that banter back and forth real quick.
Oh shit. So Chris Barrett put a picture of his bungee shield.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. That thing is fucking impressive as hell. Next step, arranging the buttons in some sensical order.
Oh my goodness. You refuse that sparrow, Veru? That's funny.
Nope.
I find that sparrow to be the most amazing thing in this game,
We
as
know.
far as devs just being cheeky. There's like good puns out there, but that is like beyond the pun level that I'm used to with these guys.
Oh, I forgot that they do a 15th. I forgot about that. God, Chris is...
Okay, I think I'm going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis that time. But, Josh, it was good talking to you again, hon.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
didn't get as drunk as last time.
I know.
You know-
I'm very disappointed. The rum is not gone.
No.
Well, it is actually.
Down.
Oh man. All right. Well, stream. We will see you guys next week. Yep.
Bye, stream.
That's all I got. That's all I got. Got nothing more. Night.
Night.